Oops, test. Back it up. Testing. Just wait a couple of minutes for Councilwoman Souza.
We might as well get going. Yeah, let's roll.
Good evening. I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll of the council?
Councilman Fogarty?
Yeah.
Councilman Lawson?
Yeah.
Council Vice President Rego?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Sousa?
Here.
Council President Rodrick?
Here. The record show all 5 council members are present. Before we stand for the salute to the flag, I would just ask, once we do stand, for a quick moment of silence for East Providence teacher who had passed away unexpectedly. Mrs. Karen Oliveira, for a young woman, long time, Mr. Fogarty, 30 years, I believe, teacher.
Yes, teacher, yeah.
And also served one term on the East Providence School Committee. So could you please rise for the pledge or just pause for a moment? Thank you. I
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty justice for all.
Thank you all. According to state law and pursuant to the executive session laws of the Rhode Island General Laws 42-46, 5, A and 2, we have a couple of items on for executive session. New claims, litigation, Richard Kirby versus City of East Providence. We have litigation update. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to enter to executive session. Yeah, I said the new claims.
Okay.
That's the new
Yeah, I
claims,
just-
Antonio Barboza. Yep, thank you. Is that a motion, Councilman?
I make a motion to move into executive session under the laws of the state of Rhode Island.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Rego, seconded by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. We will return as soon as possible. Is there a motion to reconvene and seal the minutes of the executive session?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fogarty, seconded by Councilman Lawson. Seal the minutes of the executive session and return to public session. Call a roll, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Fogarty.
Yeah.
Councilman Lawson.
What are we voting on?
We're voting on the motion to seal.
Oh, approved. Aye.
Aye.
Vice President Rego.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sousa. Council President Rodrick.
Aye, the motion to seal and return passes 5-0. Thank you. Madam Clerk, we'll just follow along
Okay.
the agenda as listed for now.
Okay. Under consent calendar, we have the council journals, August 15th, regular meeting minutes, August 15th, the executive session, August 22nd, the regular meeting minutes, and August 29th, the regular meeting minutes.
Motion to accept the council journals from the dates that the clerk just read off.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Rego to approve, seconded by Councilman Lawson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have that. Unanimous. Next, please.
You have a consideration on motion to bundle on the licenses, C1 through C9. Do you want me to go through the licenses?
Not yet. I would ask that we bundle except C9. We would do that separately because there may be some discussion on that. You can, council's pleasure. Do you want the clerk to read the titles of C? I don't think so. They're not a public hearing. Everything was in order. This is just a motion to bundle.
I'll make a motion to bundle C1 through C8.
But question to the solicitor, do we need them since we are shown licenses? Do they need to be just read off individually? Okay.
Motion by Councilman Lawson and seconded by Councilman Fogarty to bundle items C1 through C8. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have that. Unanimous. Next would be a motion in order to approve items C1 through C8.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Rego to approve the licenses listed on the docket as C1 through C8. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have. For a motion to, well, before the motion, would defer to Councilwoman Sousa if you want to start discussion on request for C9, and I understand there is someone here that would like to.
C9, that's not the peddler.
Is that not the?
Diver?
Oh, I'm sorry, not yours. But C9 is the, could you read that, Madam Clerk?
Peddler driver, applicant name Andy Semito, Semito's Rental, which is a jet ski rental. Applicant address 50 Industrial Circle, Suite 112, Lincoln, Rhode Island.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Hi, could you please come to the podium to my left? Thank you. And just state your name and address for the record.
My business address or Andy Semito, 50 Industrial Circle, Lincoln, Rhode Island.
Thank you. So can you, in a nutshell, explain what you're requesting?
I'm
What is
here.
your business and what?
Yep. I'm a jet ski rental company. I also rent cars as well. We charter boats as well. We're located here and we're located in Florida as well. To be exact, Fort Lauderdale and Miami. Yeah, that's what my business does. I was reached out from somebody reached out to me from the city, said that I needed peddler's license. I had no idea what that was. So that's what I'm applying for.
So before I start, a couple of questions. Madam Clerk, you have what you needed. The applications are in from.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so one of the questions is, I know for myself, I had received some calls about your business being at Sabin Point. And having a large trailer or more, you know the issue, parked there good portion of the weekend or the days. I'm sure you went home at night. It's a very small area, so it's very congested. So some residents were calling that they didn't have access to that park.
Yeah.
And that's someone was operating a business on city property. I think the issue of an analogy would be a boat hauler. Boat haulers, which I know I've used and others have, can use public ramps, but they come, they leave the vessel, and they go. They don't stay there. So in the meantime, I know you've had some conversations with at least our assistant solicitor, Conley, and so how do you see this now? And as you're getting ready to answer that, I would make one other comment. We're not so sure that whole area is being considered, long before I ever heard of your business being there, is being considered as a kayak launch and passive boating, not for big trailers or motorized vessels. Have you considered 3 minutes down the road a much bigger and I think better location, which is Haynes Park, which is still within East Providence borders, but is a much larger area? There are room for trailers. It's state monitored. To me, that would solve the problem that we see.
Yeah. To answer your questions, so when I first started, I was going to Saving Point for year one. When I was going to Saving Point Park, there wasn't really much traffic there. That's kind of where I kind of started getting a little bit of buzz with my company. Year one, there wasn't much traffic there, so I felt like it was okay. We didn't have much equipment like that when we first started. As the years went by, we did grow. I can definitely see why some can be intimidated or bothered by all of our equipment there. Before all the complaints started, I did go out my way to, because it wasn't just the parking. I believe it was fishing as well, that they were bothered with the fishing. They said that we were scaring the fish away, or it just got in their way. So what I proposed to the fishers there, because I've heard of it from someone there, was I bought air horns for all the fishermen there and gave it to them and said, hey, listen, while I'm there instructing my business, the renters are never alone. I'm there watching them as they're in the water. We go out 200, maybe more out, further out into the bay. So we're not in front of the fishing. And I said, hey, sometimes somebody might get in the way of fishing. I can't control everybody. Blow the air horn. I told them, I give them one warning. If they end up getting in your way, I'll take them out of the water for you. I explained that to them before they even get onto the water. I've already parked my equipment further away from the dock. I've heard that I've left my equipment in front of the boat dock, and I will admit I've done it a couple of times, or some of my workers have done it a couple of times. I've stopped, and we have considered somewhere further, but a lot of the renters like that area. They like launching from that area. If they're requesting to be launched from that area, I don't know what else to tell them.
Well, you could suggest, like I said, 3 minutes down Bullocks Point Avenue, and you've got a bigger area, a better access to the bay, wide open waters, not in a neighborhood, not near houses where I don't know that they would like the air horn idea. Some of the houses right there.
Yeah.
But at Haynes Park, it's all boating and all types of activities. And I don't see that inconveniencing you, because it's actually a bigger, broader area, and it's 3 to 5 minutes down the line. And you probably can leave a trailer there and not infringe upon anything.
Yeah. No, definitely have. Me and my team and we have definitely considered that area as well.
Because the other area you use is what, Oakland Beach across the bay?
Yeah, I go there a lot. I'm there probably half the summer.
Well, this Haynes Park would be similar to that.
Somewhat. It's just Yeah, somewhat. Yep. It's just, again, it just goes, it does boil down to why I'm there a lot. It's not like I'm there coming there to purposely frustrate people. Like if I come there and my trailer is a bother, I have moved it and parked it a few streets down. I started doing that.
No, I don't question your intent. Just know if you're even on the streets parking, you know how congested
Yeah.
that area is.
Yeah.
So,
Street street parking's worse than that. I mean, those roads are so small down there. Engine 2 and ladder 2 are not making it down those roads.
Yeah.
My question to you is, how many weeks have you been in East Providence this year?
I don't know. I've been there a lot. I don't know, weeks, because I go there personally myself to operate without, I go there myself.
What I'm thinking here, we have the ordinance. We make AAU baseball nonprofits take out licenses to rent fields, soccer teams, baseball teams. We have somebody who's making money on city property. Savings Point Park is a city property. We need to pass the ordinance that each week that you're going to come into the city, you're going to have to take out a license and pay the fee similar to what an AAU baseball team does, a soccer team, a lacrosse team. And I think we charge $400 a week. So you would have to pay us $400 a week because you're using our city property to rent. We charge AAU baseball, nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my proposal. You're using our property, you're using our roads.
Mm-hmm.
So are you prepared to pay us $400 a week if we have an ordinance?
I will respect what you're saying right now. I will take what you're saying and talk it over with my lawyer.
I mean, we'll pass an ordinance.
We'll
pass the, we can
personally-
pass the ordinance, and that will be the requirement too.
Yeah.
Because I'm a small business person, I get it, but you're inconveniencing the neighbors, and we represent the citizens of the city.
Yeah.
If you don't want to work with us, I'm just saying, we'll work with you. You got to work with us.
100%. And
let him answer.
yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I totally hear where you're coming from. It's just, I will be quite honest and say that I'm not familiar with fees and when it comes down to what I should be paying for a public dock, and I don't know all of that. So maybe I should inform myself and do some research and see what's doable for me and my company. I don't want to sit here and say, although I do respect what you're saying.
And 400 is just a number. It could be less, it could be more, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying that we need something.
I would be more than happy to come.
So why
With understanding.
why don't you speak to whomever? The only problem I have with this, and I think you and I have talked about this once, my proposal is go to Haynes Park. Everybody's happy.
But
Bigger, it's better, it's open waters, there's parking, there's no houses, no streets, no neighborhoods. And if a baseball team gets a permit for a field, they have the field exclusively for that time period. So if he gets a license for that area, he would have it exclusively. So now people couldn't even go in there from East Providence to walk on the dock.
what's that?
That's not necessarily true.
That's not, that's what I mean. It's
But we don't have
You're not going to tell people.
anything in place. Well, if he has a permit for it,
permit to use it.
Can I?
for the dock. Well, I don't know. I said my piece. Anyone else have?
Can I also say one more thing?
Sure.
I get your Haynes Point Park to avoid the complaints and avoid everything else, but you also have to think now, I'm not the only person that goes there that's not a company. There's people that go there personally, right? And you have to ask, why do they go there personally every day? There's something about Saving Point Park that they like leaving from that area, right? It's not just because it's Saving Point Park. It's the sun. It's what happens when the sun is setting down there and the area that people just like there. It's really deeper than just, you know, it's really that area that if you look at my reviews on Google, you'll see why.
Well, that's exactly what I'm trying to gain and keep. So what is our pleasure here? Do we want to,
Make a motion to
Somehow.
approve the license.
Yeah, we'll approve this license.
I'll second.
as listed?
Yeah.
Listen.
A motion by Councilman Lawson to approve, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. Do call a roll, please.
Councilman Fogarty,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
Council Vice President Rigo, Councilwoman Souza, Council President Rodrick.
Nay. Thank you. So it passes 4-1. You're free to run your business.
Thank you so
Thank
much. I appreciate you guys.
But be prepared that we're gonna probably investigate and come back with an ordinance or somewhere like that. We're not done. We're not done.
Understood.
And I just request that you be a good neighbor to those people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, that's my goal there. As soon as I get there, that's what I do, check in with everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Next item, please.
Under communications, we have Nancy Hale listed.
I think Nancy.
I believe she left. She had indicated earlier she wasn't feeling well, so we can move on.
We also have William Lewis speaking on water billing usage for restaurants, bars, and other commercial properties.
I don't see him. Is William Lewis present? Okay, next item.
We have public comment, but nobody signed up. Appointment to the City Council Crescent Park Committee, Kathy Baker, sponsored by Councilman Lawson.
Dr. Baker requested to be put on the Crescent Park Advisory Committee. And I believe we have, after this, if she gets approved, we'll have one more opening for an alternate. And I'm working with Dylan to rewrite to add another to get rid of the historical ex officio. We don't even know if there's a historical people around. So I would like to make a motion that we approve Dr. Baker as a member of the Crescent Park Advisory Committee.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilwoman Souza to approve Dr. Baker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Unanimous. Thank you. Next.
We have no council member items. Moving on to public hearings, an ordinance and amendment of Chapter 18 of the City of East Providence, Rhode Island, 1998, as amended, entitled Vehicles and Traffic. Summary: removal of no parking at Trotton Place, sponsored Council President Rodrick and Councilwoman Souza.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I'm sorry, this is what I was referring to earlier. I don't know if you want to say anything about this, so I understand there is someone present.
Yeah, there is somebody present to speak on the ordinance.
You do want to give us a precursor of what it's about? or-
So a month ago, the council approved a no parking on 12 Mill Place, and the feedback or miscommunication around having that no parking with one of the abutters was misunderstood. So talking with that resident and family, it was determined that removal would be something that would be more beneficial, and then we could work on with the city and the neighbors, that's something that would be more appropriate for that paper street that would benefit both the abutting property and residents.
Is the gentleman present who wanted to speak on this?
So if you want to open up public comment, that would.
Sure, come forward. We'll open this up to public comment. Just your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Maria Jardin. I live in 144 Grove Avenue. So I came here because we found out that they're going to put some signs in the driveway that belongs to the city of East Providence. I live in a house for 37 years, and The next house, there used to live a couple old people. Since they died, and the house being like a rental property. So we see a lot of things going on in the property, like drugs in the house. So we seeing that it's not safe for my daughter because I have a child with Down syndrome. And I have a granddaughter. Pretty soon I'm gonna have a grandson. And I want you guys to know that I'm not gonna move out of there because I lived for 37 years. It's a nice neighborhood. And the thing is that my son, we're having this problem for a long time, and my son goes to the neighbor and explain to him what's going on because he's not living next door. We are the ones living next door. So it means that he don't see nothing. So my son goes over there to tell him the only thing you have to tell your tenants to slow down when you drive in the driveway. But the only thing he does to my son is start yelling at my son and call us names. And this is not a good landlord. A good landlord resolve the problem because like I said, we live in a house for so many years that we don't want to have this problem for so long because we see that's not safe because we don't know what's coming next to live in a house. So we don't want the signs over there, sir. We don't need signs over there. The only thing we need is the people live there, slow down. And the people live in a house, they should only park there. Because across the street, they have a house, the same thing with our house. And I remember when they bought the house, the two neighbors, they came to agreement that nobody can go park the cars there. Even tenants from the house, the third floor, there's a house, three families, they park in the street. So why did this landlord not agree with us? Because this is only sick for my daughter. Because she loved to go outside. She loved to go. The only job she loved to do is put the trash outside. And she's small. And she can go around the car. It comes the cars because the driveway where we park the cars, the driveway is small. You see, sir, you went over there today. We know you went over there. And the thing is, I got a little upset that City Hall, the East Providence knows, because I know that they had meetings, private meetings, and the only thing they know there for us, because we are taxpayers and we live in the house for so many years, they should have come to us, say, listen, we need to know what's going on in this property, in the both properties.
Well, just so you know, I have not attended any meetings with anybody at City Hall. I don't know what you're referring to. I was not
I
at
know,
any meetings, but that's okay. I understand what you're saying. These problems of drugs and other things in the house, have you called the police?
Oh yeah, if you call the police station, they know all the records there. They know all the records.
Okay. So by putting a no
Sir, can I
parking,
say something?
Sure.
So imagine you live in a house and you're using the same driveway and you have this problem. You want to live over there, sir?
I do
We're
not.
not safe there because we don't know where these people come. They rent a house, they rent people, they didn't even know the background check.
my point is no parking sign isn't going to change the people.
No, they're gonna change because the problem is gonna stay there, sir. But the thing is, the
Right.
problem is, sir, it's the landlord. The Lord not agree with us. If he's a good landlord, he say to us, okay, I'm gonna talk to you, my tenants, to slow down and nobody can park there. Like my family, when they visit us, they don't park there. We told them to park in the street. Why? For us to give them the same thing what they're supposed to do to us too. I'm a little nervous, but this is a problem, sir. I'm sorry, but this is a problem. It's a problem. This is being resolved for a long time.
Sure.
Long time.
I hear you.
Long time, sir. And this is about safety to my daughter. My daughter is a number one.
Any questions from anyone on the council? Okay, is there someone else? I see a hand up. Did you want to?
My son.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, David Jardum, 146 Grove Avenue. So my mom did a pretty good job of highlighting what we've been experiencing in the last 40 years. So, you know, we have to be in agreement with one another. But my issue with this whole problem is, but let me back up first. So I own pets. I have a sister with Down syndrome. I have a 20-month-old beautiful little daughter that is running crazy in the yard. I have one that's coming out right now. So it's a problem. What we've been experiencing these last 15 years since that the old couple that is no longer there, there's a serious issue. I have a problem that, and I just want to come here and say that this is the third meeting we're discussing this problem. And I want to question that. Why are we here again discussing this issue? You know, it really does seem biased. The mayor, I believe that this was an email that was sent to the mayor, and it started in his department. And he came up with some kind of resolution to address this problem. He only got the email. How come he did not come out and talk to us? And we did have we did have a visitor today that went into our driveway and left. I was home, both cars were home. Did we get a knock on the door and to, you know, see what's going on? To, you know,
that visitor was me. I had never, to be honest with you, had never been in that street. I was curious as to why we were trying to take away a no parking sign. We voted early to put it there.
Okay.
So, and I had people tell me when I asked where the street is, they said, you know where the street is. It's really, someone said a paper street, I guess. It's shorter than from here to that wall. It's very small, very narrow. And so I was just getting familiar with the environment. Residents call me, I go out. I go out. That's what I do all the time. So today was nothing nefarious. And why is it being on here again? Because it takes two passages to change things. We already voted once to go your way, which is to...
That's not our way.
And no, I mean this Mike is doing this again, to put the signs back.
I mean,
And today would be the second and final passage. So that
it would be nice, you know, for whatever
I
stakeholder.
don't know anything about city hall meetings.
And this is just a waste of time. It is not. In a way, it is, because it's an argument between two neighbors, and the city is in the way with this paper driveway. I mean, this should have been resolved with us talking. Like we've tried to keep the communication open between us and the property owner next door.
I agree with that.
Nothing has resolved. There's no resolve in this. I mean, why are we talking about parking in the back or parking on the side? I mean, wouldn't you like to know that answer? Why are we discussing about no parking? How does that address safety? Why are we even talking about this? It's a very biased process, and it was done in a manner to slip in and get it quickly, and that's why we're here again today. And we have to go on record, and we are here on record. And the right thing to do is to remove these signs. Why? I'm going to say why to remove these signs, because it's just going to clutter all our vehicles in our driveway. We have to spread them out, because the people who come in next door, they're already mad because we're already criticizing them because of their speed, and it's on video. I mean, these are not frivolous, claims. These are legitimate. You would feel the same, like my mom said, you would feel the same way if you lived next door.
Through the chair,
Councilman.
Chairman Roderick and myself, we are ongoing with the same situation you are on our street, so we are aware of the same situation with speeding. on streets. Thank you.
It's not a street, it's a paper street. It's technicality, it's a paper street. This is our residence, right? It's just, I ask the council, to really, take your time and come out, please support to take down the sign. And come back to us, bring us to the table, and let's talk about a way to resolve this. This sign doesn't do anything. Okay? It only protects that property owner. It doesn't do nothing for us. When it snows, they call whoever they call to get political capital. When they need fill in a pothole, they call for political capital. Now this, why wasn't we involved in this, in these discussions or these solutions? This is
why we are here. Councilwoman Souza
I would appreciate.
my attention. Well, let me finish. We're trying to do what you're asking.
By putting no parking signs up, we were not
No,
at the
by
table.
taking it away.
Yes, I understand that. So I'm here today with my mom. I don't see the other property owner, here to go against it. So it might not be important to him. We are here saying that there's a safety issue. And by having these signs remain there, it just contributes to a non-safety environment.
Okay, so I want to move on. Any other comments from the public? I'll close public comment on that. What is your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by Councilwoman Souza to approve, Councilman Lawson seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you. Thanks for coming out. Next item.
You're welcome.
An ordinance of the Council of the City of East Providence appropriating up to $2.5 million towards the renovation of the East Providence Police Station located at 750 Waterman Avenue under summary to be funded by the federal ARPA funds. Sponsor, Council Vice President Rigo, Councilman Lawson, Councilwoman Susan, and Councilman Fogarty.
Thank you. Thank you. One of you want to take the lead on?
It's straightforward. Police station's a pit and it needs a lot of work, and this money, it's needed. The architects are doing their job now, and this motion is to ensure that we have money in place ready to go when they come back with the design plan. So I do want to make a motion to approve. It is a public hearing, but I do want to make the motion to approve.
Second.
Sure. A motion has been made by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. It is a public hearing. Any other comments on the council?
This is second passage, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
Second passage.
Just wanted that for the record.
Well, let me ask first, anyone in the public? My only concern, as it's going to be with a lot of these issues tonight, is how does it work with what we are currently doing at the police station? I know there is work underway, but we've kind of gone over this ad nauseum. I agree. Normally, if I see $2.5 million being earmarked for something, I'd like to see specifics. An RFP buys a lot of chairs. And, we're talking about a roof. But I think it bears to have, to quote a couple council people here, it bears to have the conversation. But, not really hearing much conversation. We have heard from some department heads who said, we're doing some of these things. I don't know. Any other comments?
So I would just wanted to add on to this. We know that there are a lot of infrastructural issues, buildings throughout the city, and we know that some have a higher price tag than others, and there are unknowns, right? So the police station, we know we have put money towards repairs and capital funds. We know that there continue to be repairs structurally and aesthetically within the space, health-wise, right? We have some things there that are not conducive to good working environment. So not knowing what that money, what that's going to look like, this is an effort to say, don't hold back on everything we need, don't minimize what the space needs for our men and women that are in that space fighting for the residents of this city. Let's do the job correctly and do it right so that we can have a really good state-of-the-art police station for the men and women who serve this community 24 hours a day. So I don't, not knowing what the amount is, it could be even more than this, but at least we have at least the 2.5 to get the things going that we need to, and not any hold or saying, well, we haven't allocated, or we don't have we're not sure where we're going to have enough money. We're going to have to keep these things off of the list. No, we want the list. We want to see the list, and we want to work with the money to get it done. And so it's in a way not to ambush the progress of getting that department's space finished in a timely manner, because it is on a time limit.
And my only other caveat that I guess could help is it says up to $2.5 million. So if the current work that is underway and additional work can get done for less than this, this is not automatically spending $2.5 million taxpayer dollars.
Well, nothing was put in the proposed capital budget towards the police station, so this was the solution.
But you agree that that might not be the number. It might be more.
We can invite the architect in to come present to the council.
It could be more or less, but we're falling into the trap of the city. If we don't fix it now, we're just kicking it down the road. And this is what we've inherited, all these nightmares from past councils and to change the form of government. We have to do something now. We need the police. They are vital to this city. People want safety, public safety, where people can go and obviously work there. But it's important that we have a police station. Anything short of not getting that up to par is technically we're defunding the police department if we don't get that police. Because all we're doing, it's going to affect their accreditation. It's going to come down the road. In 2 years from now, instead of being $2 million, we're going to be at $7 million. And where do we get it? We have no more opera funds. We got to do something now. I am tired of kicking the can down the road for this city. Now is the time to do it.
Well, I've been saying that for years. It's the reason that I ran for public office, to stop kicking that can. I just want specifics. But anyway,
And I agree with your specifics, but we're down. I mean, we're here at this point because this should have been, over the years, that police station, this city hall should have been maintained. But it's just like your house. You got to maintain it. That's all I'm saying. Let's look at the big picture. We got to take care of our problems now.
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilman Fogarty.
Aye.
Councilman Lawson.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rigo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sousa.
Aye.
Council President Rodrick.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next.
FY 2024 Mayor Proposed Budget Council Review. If you want to go right into the departments.
So thank you, Madam Clerk. So this portion of the meeting, we will continue with the council budget workshop. And I want to thank Patricia Zendi for setting up the logistics that we need tonight. And the docket is correct, so anyone following along, first on the agenda is recreation. So I would ask Recreation Director Diane Sullivan to come up to the hot seat to my left podium. And, oh, I'm sorry, right there, we have a microphone at the table. Great. Before we ask any questions, do you want to make an opening comment or concerns?
Just I appreciate the cooperation and the teamwork that the city has, and I, look forward to with this new council and going forth and improving our departments, our city, and working as a team.
Well, and you've certainly been a great team leader
Thank you.
over the years, and we more than appreciate that. With that, open it up to questions from the council.
I can start if you like.
Sure, thank you. Councilman Lawson.
So it's you, Becky Chase, and your title is Rec Center Director? Or is that just,
Recreation director, yeah, the Recreation Center Director, that's kind of how it was coded in previous.
okay. All right. And did you replace Chantel yet?
We have an administrative assistant, yes, we do.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, I beg your pardon, yep.
Questions I had was revenue projection. How did you get to 200,000 and where's that revenue come from?
The projection is from estimates garnered from our permitting system. I generated some revenue reports in January 1 to June 1st, 2022. We did June 30th, 2022. We generated approximately $85,000. Now, this is programming, summer camp payments, any of the all the programs that we run through the Recreation Department, including the special events, Winterfest, so on. So because we have not gotten to the end of fiscal year 2023, I just sort of estimated based on the 2022 numbers. So we were figuring about another $35,000 in permitting fees, program fees, and then increasing the summer camp fees by $20 to $100 per child per week, which would add probably another $80,000, $90,000.
Okay. Purchase professional services. Heat and gas and oil. What are you heating? It's $8,175. Electricity, $6,671. Gas, oil, I'm assuming that's for the van, supplies. So what's the heat and electric for?
That is, we split that with the senior center.
Okay. So this number the same number should be on the senior centers for heating and electricity?
Yes.
Okay. And rentals, what are the rentals at 5,400?
Those are equipment that we would, can you just detail? Does that one pop up? Rentals. Thank you. Yes, so we will use that for audio, for sound engineering services, party rentals for our youth programming, carnival parties and things like that. Any tents, table renting, custodial fees when we have to utilize other facilities, rentals, school facilities.
Gotcha.
And pool rental, yes.
Okay. And the 500 for dues and fees, what's that for?
We currently, the program supervisor and I, we hold membership in the Rhode Island Rec Association.
Okay.
And it's a small amount, so it's about $100 for the two of us for the year. And then we utilize the rest for any training and conferences that
Gotcha.
come up during the year.
Technology software. Is that for the permit to?
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes, sir. That would be our contract with Rec Desk.
Gotcha. And that's administered, Kelly helps you guys, or is it all the vendor works with you?
That is the vendor that is the vendor we contract.
And the last two, Winterfest and fireworks, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any other money for programming for you? Am I just not seeing, like if you wanted to do whatever? Where do you find money to
Well,
do?
But what we do is that's why our part-time salary line item is so important, because we basically rely on our staffing and any instructors and staff that would come up and do our programming for us. So it's hard to say like pour something into a program account, because there's so many we're so varied in the things that we do. So we take what's necessary out of our rentals and our supply accounts. And then we also, what you don't see on the revenue, on the expense account, is the revenue that we charge, the fees that we charge to offset the costs of any of our programs that we run.
That would come under general, excuse me, that would come under general revenue?
Yes.
Now, are you done? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry if I'm taking too much time, just let me know.
No, no problem at all.
That was fine. Councilman.
So in the report I have, and you might have said it, I didn't write it down, through half a year of this fiscal year that we're concluding, you had you received $60,000 in general revenue.
Yes.
Malcolm, do you have an up-to-date where we stand since we're more than 6 months into the fiscal year? What the revenues are?
One 136? Oh, that's real small. 136,000.
136, and we're basically, we have a month left. We have September and October when we concluded. So you're comfortable going from, say in the next month or so, we do it, get to 150. I'll add 14,000 to this. So for the sake of argument, so you're comfortable going from 150 to 200,000 in revenues? Do you see like what programs are going to generate an additional $50,000 in revenue?
Yeah, perhaps with the increase with the summer camp program by $20 per, that would probably get it close to that.
Okay. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
But if I could just add, as part of the revenue are fees and permits. So when a ball team does
Absolutely,
a
yes.
permit, okay. Two programmatic questions. I don't have any problem with any of these numbers for what you're doing. I know fireworks this year were wildly popular, and people from other communities state that East Providence was by far the best July 4th celebration, from the fireworks to the entertainment, food that was there. There's a little increase for fireworks. Is that enough? I know they're very expensive.
Yeah, that was under the recommendation of the mayor. We thought it prudent to increase the that line item as everything increases.
I know some communities are doing away with fireworks there.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The other question I have is the summer blacktop or the basketball program. Is it the one that the junior townies operates there with?
Through the Mohawk program.
Is it the Mohawk program?
Yep.
Yes. Another wildly popular program with some 600 children involved in that. How are you funding that? Are you directly involved in that, or they do it themselves?
No, we just permit the facility for them. That is operated through the Mohawks program, which is run through the Boys and Girls Club of East Providence.
So they pay permits to use?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's very, very advantageous for the youth of this community. I've been there watching baseball games in the big field, and off to the side at the basketball courts with their lights and scoreboards, and hundreds of kids and more parents and grandparents, types of things that add to the quality of life in this city.
Absolutely.
And in that instance, we're not paying really for it. There are outside groups there. Any other questions? Well, Councilwoman?
Yeah, so I just wanted, so something that you said, Diane, struck a little bit, is the increase in, and I get revenue is important to run it, or to be able to balance the spending. But it, it does pull a string for me with the youth of this city and how a lot of families, multi-child families, how it is increasingly difficult for them to be able to put any of their children in any of our programs, especially in a time when they need childcare
Absolutely.
at our current cost. And then to increase it by another 20 per child, just in my mind is a further hardship for the residents of the city. So, you know, and obviously that's a policy decision on, in your
Well, you know, we balance it out when you look around what the cost for childcare. These children, we watch them from 8:30 in the morning till 3:30. We have after camp for like an additional $20, and we watch them until 6 o'clock. We feed them lunch.
Is lunch coming from a federally funded?
Correct. Yeah,
So
it's a USDA program that is reimbursable. So we put up the money for it. We select a vendor, and then we are reimbursed through the Rhode Island Department of Education.
Yeah. Well, and again, and I know, again, we need, childcare is very expensive.
Yeah.
And you have parents and families deciding whether they're going to work and sending their kids to
Yes,
childcare,
sure.
or they're having
It
to
is.
not work because
Yeah.
they can't afford the childcare. And this is where I find us as a city should be providing some type of service in this division to help those parents.
Absolutely.
So, you know, because I think of all the children that are home alone in the summer throughout our city because their parents cannot afford the daycare. But if we could make it a little bit more affordable for some of those families, how many more would be in those programs? So sometimes it's not the cost, but the quality or the quantity.
Right.
So you can sell 1,000 vehicles for $1,000, but if you sold 150
Yes. Yeah.
or less, you could get the same amount of money, but you'd be servicing a greater number.
Right.
When I think of our rec department, I think of it as serving a greater number,
Right.
like our libraries, any of our social
Right.
departments. And I think, and I know you do a phenomenal job.
Yeah,
I'm
they do.
just, you know, hearing you say that it's going up, it doesn't sit well with me
Yeah.
thinking about how many people you're going to potentially lose next summer because they can't afford it. And I know from personal experience with personal friends and family. They would love to be able to put their children in these things. And even, I would say, the Boys and Girls Club, affordable for most parents for after school because it just doesn't financially make sense.
Yes. It's an extremely tough, difficult field. It's understaffing, and you have your teachers and your caregivers that are, you know, vastly underpaid, and they have a lot of work. And I appreciate your sentiments, and I absolutely agree. And I'm confident that there's some kind of workaround that we can, you know, some kind of alternate funding that we can, you know, provide assistance and financial assistance to make it more affordable for children.
I mean, I would rather take the $5,000 out of the fireworks show that lasts for 6 hours and be able to sponsor kids to take the summer course, be there available at Summer Park. I mean, that's a better spent money in my mind. than-
How much is it a week per kid?
Well, if currently it's $80,
What's it going to be next year?
100.
For some people, that's a paycheck. Three children, you know, $300, a lot.
Sure.
They're getting good care, so
And that's to cover staff because the food's free?
7. I beg your pardon? I'm sorry.
And all that money is to cover staff because the food's already covered? What's 100 per kid? How many kids?
Well, we have approximately 150, 185 children, yeah, in
Okay.
the program. Yeah, the staffing is a big cost, yeah.
But what's the reason for the $20 increase? That's kind of what I'm asking. Is
Well,
it because the cost of staff went up or?
Well, that increase, everything increases, and the cost of childcare is extremely, we thought that we're actually low comparatively speaking
Sure.
to child.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
But again, I would be
Yeah, I,
the 5,000. Let's sponsor families that can't afford the $100 a week versus a night out.
mhm, I hear,
Because the kids will have all summer having fun.
that's right.
Experience would be more valuable than the fireworks.
You said 180 children,
Yes.
so the $20, that's $3,600. I mean, it's all hardworking people.
Mhm.
We should look at, and I don't, the fireworks shows is very good, and I don't really want to take away from that because I know the price is going to go up on fireworks, but we talk about doing things right for the citizens of the city. We need to find that $3,600, or maybe we find half of it and goes up to 90 at 10%. I mean, 10% would be $88 a week, and people understand it going up. So taking it down, we need to find $1,800 in this budget. If the five of us in the administration can't find $1,800, then we all should go home.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Diane, very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next is Pierce Stadium. Not sure who's addressing that. Is Tony here? Dan, okay. Director Borges will. Oh, sure. Why don't we hold off on that and go down to Carousel with Tracy Johnson? Your turn in the hot seat. So this next area is our Crescent Park Carousel and associated items to that. Tracy Johnson is the director. And do you have any opening comments or concerns, or do you want us to just go into some questions and comments? You don't look too convincing there.
Besides Dan, she's the most seen or talked to department head at these council meetings.
Tracy, are you in the union?
Yes.
So is that what the deferred compensation is?
Yes.
Okay.
Page 63.
Yep, right here, Frank.
Councilman Lawson, do you want to continue? Do you have anything else?
Training and conferences, what's that for?
Um,
$2,000? And it looks like we haven't spent anything in years, well, except for 23.
correct.
No,
Um,
we budgeted 2,000, but we haven't spent anything.
So the National Carousel Association Conference that happens annually.
Mhm.
However, I did not attend last year due to all of the work being done at the carousel. And then, of course, we did have the break for COVID. There was no convention. It also covers any other type of training that can pop up. We will be looking at having to update some of our training for the federal safety standards.
Okay.
So we'll be looking at that in 24 and 25.
What does advertising dash subdivision mean? $1,000.
That's the advertising we do for our seasonal programming. We will put in a couple of ads when we go to open and list all of our programming for the season. We try to take advantage of as much free advertising as we can with one of the local papers, and of course, just being online everywhere we can.
Gotcha. I just wasn't sure what the word subdivision meant.
I don't know why it's there either. I can't actually use that accounting code.
I believe it should go up one where it's advertising and printing.
Okay, but, sounds good. Telephones, is that for, do you have a cell phone, city phone?
I do. We have a city phone, a city cell phone that we use at the Carousel as our telephone.
And the water, is that just the general water bill, or is that when you buy?
Correct. We have water at the Carousel and then at the two small buildings on the property.
Okay. That's all I got.
Thank you, Councilman Rigo.
Just, excuse me, just to pick up on what Councilman Wilson had to say. In the past years, under the advertising subdivision, you hadn't done anything and we're just going to 1,000. Do you have any specific places that you're going to be placing that $1,000? And obviously, it looks like it's new because the past budgets, I mean, you had it in last year, and so far, you hadn't used anything according to our records. So you expect to use some next year?
I have used some. My year is a little bit different. We just opened in June. So some of the stuff we've done may not show on your side. And it hasn't been used again because I was closed for a couple of years.
Malcolm, could you give me the amount where we are to date, please? Thank you.
For the advertising subdivision,
Yes, sir.
I don't see anything in there at the moment. Oop. That's it, if I pull out one. Let me go back up one.
Yeah, I don't think it worked when we put it in, so Ralph changed it.
Okay. And they may have put it in, there's been $345 in for advertising. There's one for the 2023 season advertising and something for $684 and $700 for the Clam Shack. So there's been a little bit of expenses out of there, $350.
And are you taking into consideration for revenue? Hopefully next year we can finally buy food down there, more activities. What is your anticipation as to potentially your revenue?
The revenue that's listed now is based solely on ticket sales because I don't know when any of that other stuff will be up and running. I would love to be able to give you an estimate of how much we could bring in for weddings and birthday parties when we can return to that stuff. But until those items are up, I don't feel good about giving you estimates in the budget for that.
And obviously the Carousel is obviously historical and old. Are you comfortable with the maintenance and that there is enough funding for maintenance?
So to be honest, the budget doesn't actually include maintenance to the Carousel. That line item you see that says fees and maintenance
Yep.
is a lot of stuff, but not actual maintenance to the Carousel. We do try to cover as much of the maintenance as we can with the nonprofit funding, all of the fundraisers that we do. And then unfortunately, when large repairs come up, that's when I have to come see you guys.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Speaking of those large repairs, things going along pretty well. It's operating. I know we're not done, but knock on wood. Councilwoman, did you want to
Yeah,
add?
I just had a question. I see here under salaries, we have part-time temporary pay. But you're the only one who has an FTE Carousel. What positions are those that are part-time temporary pay?
We have the seasonal help, my caretaker, and I have one part-time office assistant who over the wintertime, she does remain part-time and also assists recreation.
Was her salary split between the part-time with recreation?
When she does hours for them, we do bill them. And then like her and I work on Winterfest together, which is a recreation program. And of course, the wintertime is when we do all the prepping and planning for our following year, as well as looking into grants.
So is it 2 people at the $80,000?
No, that's all of my staff.
So on the detail, it'll tell you it's the shift supervisor / assistant clerk, caretaker, maintenance operator, ride operator, ticket collector A, B. The person does the rings, the popcorn, the ticket booth, and the gift stand.
That's the breakdown of the temporary.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my entire staff.
Thank you. No other comments? You want to add anything in closing for the carousel? Hopefully, we'll have chowder soon. Will it be white, red, and clear, or
Or something else.
something else?
That will be up to the chef, I assume.
Thank you, Tracy. Go ahead.
I just want to say we have our food and wine pairing next week. Still have tickets. If anybody wants to go, anybody out in the world that wants to go, we still have some tickets online, or you can email me and I'll get you some.
Yep, I have my 2 right here. $25. Rigo's buying about 10. Thank you.
Thank
Next
you.
up is, yeah, donate the wine. Library Services is next. The Library Services Director is here. Page, next one in the budget book, I think it's 66. Hello? Well, we have any questions? You need to say anything initially?
Sure. I'd love to introduce myself. And before we talk about budget numbers, I thought I'd share 4 other numbers that illustrate how well used our public libraries are in the city. So my name is Meredith Bonds-Harmon. I'm the director of East Providence Public Libraries. That's the Weaver Library, the main library, and the Riverside branch, and the Fuller Creative Learning Center. I just completed our public library annual survey, so I have these numbers fresh in front of me. We have 14,400 library card holders in this city. We had over 150,000 in-person visits to any of our 3 locations, our 3 locations total. We had over 126,700 website visits, and we answered over 6,000 reference questions. So I just share those because I think they do a nice job of encapsulating how well used our public library spaces are.
Thank you. Questions from the council? No. You're not anticipating any major increases in any one area?
No, I asked for a small increase in our part-time budget line to add a part-time custodian. We have only 1 full-time custodian for 3 buildings, and he really needs support by a part-time custodian. So you'll see a small increase there. And then also in the maintenance line, we spend right up to or even go a little over in our maintenance budget line every year. So I asked for a small increase in the maintenance line as well for repairs and ongoing maintenance. So you'll see 2 increases there.
The state reimburses, was it half of your budget, the state reimburses?
I would say more like a quarter.
Yeah.
Yep.
So putting these positions like custodians under the library helps because we get money coming back. So,
And the 2 increases I mentioned didn't end up affecting the overall budget because our membership fees to Ocean State Libraries, which we pay to be part of the consortium, actually went down a little bit. So that offset what we were looking for increases.
I have no other problems with this budget. Any Good.
Still good to go.
You're off easy. All
Very
right.
good, very good.
Thank you.
We love our libraries.
Director of Finance, I heard him tell you, he says, don't expect this every year. Next is the Senior Center. I believe it's page 70. Proposed budget. Director is here. Like to say anything initially? Introduce yourself to the public.
Hi, I'm Laura Jones. I'm the Director of Senior Services for the city. And I would just like to say a few things. This year, we have 633 active members at the Senior Center. That doesn't mean those are people that are active in the Senior Center, but we also have people that just come in and call us on the phone, ask questions. So a lot more seniors and caregivers use the Senior Center. This year we have, for the same time period, we have 633 active members. Last year we had 555, so that's 78 new additional members this year. So we're really excited about, the growth of the Senior Center. Just to give you an idea also, we are a congregate meal site for the state. And so that is run by East Bay Community Action, but we host it at the Senior Center. And we have, last year we served for the same time period, 7,294 meals. And this same time period this year, we're up to 10,133. So our meal site has grown exponentially. So we had 2,839 more meals this year. I also want to just talk about the Senior Center as a whole. We do bring in some revenue, but it's very minimal. We don't charge our seniors a whole lot. We do get some grant money from the state, so I wanted just to go over that just really quickly. That in 2024, we've already been allocated $59,281 from the Office of Healthy Aging. We're in the second year of expanding the public health workforce grant, where we've hired 2 community health workers, and we still have to spend the second year $91,578. So we do bring in quite a bit of grant money. And then in 2024, if we're lucky enough to receive it, we'll get an additional $10,000 from the Senate's ledge grant. So all of that for 2024 is $160,859.51.
Good, that's a good direction. Questions from the council? Concerns?
Can I just see, Patricia, the part-time line item, please?
If I can say something about that line, the community health workers that are in that line were added in for this budget, but weren't added in last year's budget. And then I added those funds into revenue. I did not do that last year. So it looks like that line went up way high, but it also balances that out with the grant revenue.
So, because those are the grant funded through the public.
Correct. So it's one of the 3 part-time receptionists one of them is a community health worker, and the other one is the community health worker at 60 hours per pay period. So both of those are grant funded.
And I don't know if this is anywhere on here, but how are the vehicles at the senior center?
Thank you for asking. One of the first years I was here, we used some of the grant money with some donation money that we had been saving. And the previous director had told me that that donation money he had been saving for a few years to purchase a vehicle. So I wanted to honor that. So I took some of the grant money and we did buy a newer used vehicle with a wheelchair lift. And with this 59,000 in this new grant, we're looking to put that towards the purchase of a new vehicle, another new vehicle van with some capital improvement funds.
Okay, so you've asked for capital improvement.
Yes.
Because that's really important to be able to provide access for our residents that can't otherwise make it to the senior
Yeah.
center if needed,
And-
or to take them places.
Exactly. And, since our membership is going up and more people are coming to our meal site, that means more transportation. So I have added some more hours to our drivers. We've also, after COVID, we started giving some of our seniors rides that, for those seniors who don't drive, to the grocery store. And that was so well received that we've continued doing that. In fact, the last couple of months, we've also added once a month, we do a trip to Walmart. So that's been really popular with our seniors.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Anyone else? Well, all set. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I do not anticipate the next item being as quick as the prior. Go into the whole area of Department of Public Works with the Director, Engineer Dan Borges.
You're first to advocate for a new laptop.
A new one? This is new.
Is it? Is it
Yeah.
cracked? Oh, maybe it's
No, it's not, I hope it's not cracked. No?
On the
Oh, is
left, there's a layout of,
Oh my
Oh,
so it looked like it was
Corrected.
cracked.
I was doing some work on a city park while I was waiting here.
Thank you, Director. As an opening, let me say that I think 95% of the complaints that come into either the City Hall or Mayor's Office, City Council, are about items which you have to deal with. And I, for one, want to thank you for generally getting on top of these things and trying to be a magician. It's happening in every city and town, and it's a very difficult job, but I think you represent a great effort here for all of us. And although it may not look like it sometimes, we do, I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say we do appreciate your efforts. Do you want to open with any comments?
No, not particularly. I do appreciate the sentiment, but I do want to place a lot of credit on my staff. Without my staff and the people that, work for Public Works and do all the stuff that, the community doesn't really realize we do. Without them, we wouldn't be the city that we are and be able to provide such great service that we do. So I'd like to thank all of them for, their hard work.
I'm sure they appreciate that. Open it up to the council at this point.
We going in any order, or?
Do we want to?
Yeah, we can follow. Why don't we leave it to you? It's listed as first we would go to, after you, to building inspection. Do you want to follow this?
Should we start with Pierce Field since we?
Oh, that's right, that we left that for.
Can I ask one quick question while I'm looking at, how many superintendents of parks do you have?
We have one superintendent and one assistant superintendent.
So I'm looking, you got one superintendent of parks listed under public buildings and another superintendent of parks under highways and parks.
Say that again?
If you look at the positions, you got superintendent of parks
We have a,
under highway and parks, And under public buildings, you have a superintendent of parks.
Maybe it's a typo, maybe it should be superintendent of public buildings. We have a
It
public
says
buildings
superintendent of parks.
under public buildings, you're saying?
What page are you on?
I'm online, under 660, public buildings, where it lists the positions.
You get, yeah, FTEs.
No, I'm on OpenGov. It says positions name, FTEs, and it says superintendent of parks.
Oh, you're on the chart, okay.
Do you have the view that the public gets online? That's where I'm at.
I think we're pulling that up now.
Okay.
It's showing it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is shown as that. I mean, it shouldn't.
Malcolm, can we find out if we budgeted money in two places for the same position? Because that will free up.
I
However-
don't think so. When I'm looking at it,
Yeah, it
you
doesn't
still have the
really-
10, the same amount of full-time equivalents, you still have 10.
Yeah, if you look, actually, Councilman, if you look at the Assistant Superintendent of Public Buildings, it's actually shown as 0, I believe.
Right, but
And
you
it-
have
and it shows up one as
superintendent
a
of parks
superintendent.
listed under two departments.
Right, but the total FTE count is still the same.
Oh,
So-
okay.
So the total number of employees hasn't changed. So that's just a typo that I think we can address fairly easily.
Okay.
And a lot of times what can happen is that if somebody got moved over, you may change their department, but we forgot to change the title.
Yeah, so I think that's likely what happened because we had the Assistant Superintendent of Highway promoted to the Public Building Superintendent position. So that might be where some of the confusion is in those positions. Highway and Parks are the same division. Pierce Field, right? Or Pierce Stadium, I should say. All right.
Thank you. So we're now on Pierce Stadium. We have a manager for the stadium. Is that correct? Or what is the title?
We do not have a manager for Pierce Stadium. Management is done through the assistant and the superintendent.
Overall, okay.
Yep, and it's encompasses part of our fields division in the Parks Department. So we have dedicated staff to Pierce Field that oversee the facility.
Any specific questions of Pierce Stadium in the budget?
Yeah, can we elaborate on repairs for 20,000? What repairs are being done for that cost?
Though that's just general repairs. It could be sprinkler repairs, it could be building repairs, replacing doors. We have a lot of vandalism there, so unfortunately, we are constantly making repairs throughout the facility. We had to install 2 new doors in the bathrooms behind the press box, so it's just general maintenance and repairs of, playground equipment. It could really be anything.
So it's just there in the event of, essentially.
Correct.
And what's the 9,000 professional services for?
That could really be anything from top dressing a field or having, a company come in to do some sort of service. So that sort of all encompassing of, it could be really anything. Irrigation repairs,
And where it says water, it says fiscal year 9,800, but we haven't budgeted for water, it looks like ever.
water for, there's no water here. It's likely budgeted under Parks and Highway under 630.
I'm under 801 Pierce Stadium, proposed budget detail, water, fiscal year 23, half year, $9,804.
Oh, could be under the, yeah, could be. 'Cause That's spent in 23 you're referring to.
Right. But we
Yeah,
didn't
so it's
budget
like-
anything for 24.
Right, so the funding, the money allocated for utilities, typically for water, while they were charged to Pierce Field, the funding is typically taken from the parks and the highway budget. So while it was likely expended against Pierce Stadium, because it was an expense from Pierce Stadium, it,
Gotcha. Okay.
is encompassing of the parks.
Dan, I'm looking into Pierce. And on page 62, we have Pierce Stadium expenses by type, and then we have Pierce Stadium proposed budget detail. I was speaking with Council President. Pierce does generate revenue, right? And doesn't show any revenue under Pierce.
Yeah, again, it's likely the revenue is shown under the parks and the highway.
The rec department probably collects
Yeah,
those
and the
programs.
rec department typically collects some of that. I mean, if you want more granular information on revenues, by facility, I'm sure we could certainly get you that.
Yeah, I was just, because obviously having a separate section in the budget, I was just curious as to the revenue from Pierce Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, I don't have that number, but I'm sure we can certainly get it for you.
Malcolm, do you have that broken out, please?
No, that would be commingled in with either parks or highway.
We'd have to pull it from the rec program, but they can certainly probably get you a report for
How many permits and things
Yeah.
like that?
fees collected, do that for any park or any facility.
It should be under recreation, right? It shouldn't be under highway. Why would the stadium be under highway? It should be under,
Well,
if it has to go somewhere, it should go in recreation, not highway.
I mean, I don't know exactly where
Because it's highway parks, so it
Yeah,
could be
highway
a
and-
park, or it could just be recreation. It'd be in one or the other. It says highway, we used to have a parks division, and the highway, we commingled
Yeah.
10 years
But-
ago.
It should be, I mean, in the past, going back a long time ago, when Pierce, it's a recreation facility. I mean, I know we're splitting an atom here, but I really think if it's going to go anywhere, it should be under, recreation or fully, or it can go under, I just like to see it, since it's broken down as its own separate section in the budget, I would like to see the revenue for Pierce also be broken down. That would be true transparency.
sure we could get you that figure and break it out based on the revenue, on the fees we've collected over the last year.
Thank you.
Any other questions on Pierce? Okay, we can move on to building inspection.
600.
We got 600 Public Works.
Well, Public Works, okay, first.
Okay.
I was thinking of that as your title, but yeah, let's go to 600 series, Public Works.
So your salary is 0.8 here, and underwater, it is 0.1. Let me see, am I missing another,
And
please?
under.
Underwater utilities?
Yes,
Water and wastewater, it's 10%
each.
each.
Okay.
And under wastewater, it's under 5% under plant and 5% under collections.
Okay. Program coordinator, is that Donna?
It is Donna.
Where's her other 20% come from? Refuse?
So since she assists myself, she's and does work for the wastewater and the,
Okay.
the water, it's the same thing, same distribution.
So the two departments for the DPW director are, it's 600 DPW and engineering, both of those are split.
Yep.
80% general fund, 10% water, 10% sewer.
And the 7,100 for phones, that's for you? What does that cover? Is that all the public works department phones or?
I think,
At purchase property services, you have it budgeted for 7,100 for telephone/communications.
I'll give me a sec, I'll pull it up and tell you.
Okay. Want to go to the next one while he's doing that?
Okay, we've got it. It's Cox Communication. And yeah, so the cell phone's $96, AT&T Mobility, and then you've got one for Cox Communication. So there's,
It's probably the Cox services for DPW facility along with cell phones for myself and Donna would be under that division. Under that.
So that covers all the public work.
I would
departments.
imagine based on the costs I'm seeing here, I can't be for certain, but I could happily get you that first thing tomorrow morning.
because that looks like maybe just the internet down there, that we're talking $700 a month. Just for that bill, you can see it's 650, 640.
Right.
647.
Well, you got under building inspection, another 5,500 in communications. $5,952.
So there's a handful of, you're talking about building inspection, that's probably a handful of cell phones in that department for those individuals.
Okay. All right. You going one by one here? Yeah. Okay. So we're now on what?
It's on the sidebar there. So we finished with Public Works. We would
First one.
go to building inspector inspection. Questions? Any noticeable increases we should?
No, I mean, we have an increase in technology and software just to match what OpenGov, charges the city to maintain our permitting software. But outside of that, no, there's really nothing. We did increase the salary line item to include a full-time electrical inspector. We've had significant demand that's, been really overwhelming for the staff. So we've, thought it'd be the right thing to do, proactive to ideally hire full-time staff. And that's where you see the reflected change in part-time. So we reduced the part-time number and you'll see that, representative of full-time, yeah.
So are you also only down to now one office to oversee all of?
We have two. We have a clerk and a office manager.
Was that what happened? Was the office manager not a, okay, so that was a new position. So on here it has, you have, last year we budgeted for a building and zoning code 2 that we're not budgeting for this year. Last year we didn't have a supervisor or permit manager, and now we do. They created a position for an office manager and somebody got a bump.
Correct.
Who creates positions in the city?
Who creates them?
Right.
Typically, it's,
Let me ask Mike. Mike, who creates positions in the city? For the charter? You do? Can you look that up for me in the charter? I think the charter says that the positions or departments are created by the council. Right. Okay. Right. Oh, yeah, that's the communication department that was created. That wasn't by the council.
The mayor has the ability under the charter to take part of the department and move it other places. And that's what happened with the communications division. He took it from the police and fire and made it its own separate division.
That's the increase in the salary, is the increase, the change in position.
The increase in the salary is essentially removal of the part-time pay is moving to full-time. And instead of having a part-time electrical inspector, we now have a full-time electrical inspector. We'll hopefully have one. Hopefully have one. We're hiring for one.
Any other questions on building inspection? Move along to engineering. Paper budget, page 81, list. Anything of note here? You know,
No, really, just, there's an increase in purchase professional services to cover the slope mowing of the landfill. Excuse me, went out to bid, prices came in higher than last year, as it does everything lately. So that's covering, the cost for, I believe it's either 3 or 5 year contract for that. Technology and software, we had been running a very outdated version of AutoCAD, which has been particularly difficult with communicating with other consulting firms who are sending us files that are in a new format. We have a 2010 version, so we're trying to get, up to 2023. So that, there's an increase there in technology software. And then some additional funding in part-time pay to cover a recent retirement and bring that retiree back to help train, new staff as we hire them and, be of help for paving season.
while we're on engineering, I would say to the council, but also asking you, Dan, it's probably an area that is going to change greatly going forward with engineering needs of infrastructure. I listened today to a long address by the state DOT director, Alviti, talking about the major change needed in engineering, that the flooding that's happening and basically worse in other communities than here, a building shut down in Dean Estates area of Cranston, pets perished, people without homes. He was saying that, this is a VD, that he was involved in the engineering of that building 30, 40 years ago. And my point is infrastructure is changing, pipes, systems are changing. I mean, how are you, I'm not looking to add to our budget. I think we're adding enough stuff overall here, but not tonight, but how are you situated with engineers, with engineering help? I mean, you are an engineer but
Yep.
Can we handle all of these needs we have currently and going forward?
No, we can't, but no municipality can. And that's why we hire outside consultants to deal with a lot of these more challenging engineering feats throughout the city. So we typically provide, obviously service to the public from an engineering standpoint, whether it's, getting record drawings of, properties, so on and so forth. We also do obviously internal. We have Eric, who's a professional engineer, and we have, a survey staff that allows us to save a significant amount of money and perform our own survey and some internal design, as we can. But if, we were to bring all engineering services to the city, for one, I wouldn't recommend it. I think it's a lot of liability on the city. We want to work with engineering firms who are doing this every day, who see, what the new challenges are. So I think we are well positioned in engineering to accomplish what we need internally.
So how are you budgeted for if you decide you need to bring in an engineering consultant or?
Yeah, so typically, we haven't gone through capital yet, but you'll see a few requests before capital. Particularly, we've obviously seen a lot of flooding throughout the city, right, in the recent months. We've done CCTV inspection, cleaning inspection using ARPA funds. And we intend on bringing before the council a proposal or, for vote to authorize the funding of an engineering study that would allow us to now further those investigations. So, typically it's alternative funding. It's not often budgeted. We do carry small amount. We have a small amount in purchase professional services, which can cover, smaller contracts. If we have an emergency pipeline replacement we need assistance with, that can be covered under purchase professional. That's why we do carry some funds there for some flexibility for, unknowns. But for the most part, we're looking at either capital or, you utilize your rates with your, water and sewer bills.
Okay.
I have a go back. The building inspection department and the job of office supervisor manager. So basically, you replaced the clerk typist in that building, and person became the office supervisor manager.
Correct. So they do similar work, but they're also assist with there is some licensing requirements as part of that job that help assist in the permitting application for, a contractor or a resident who comes in. So they have the ability to work on the permit within the view permit software.
But ultimately, it would be the building inspector or the zoning inspector that would sign off.
Yes.
So that was a job that probably had a lower pay grade that the clerk typist was doing before, because somebody had to do it before. There wasn't that position of an office supervisor manager. So who did it before?
Can I interject on that?
Who did it before that person?
Can I interject? So what
Absolutely.
often happens in city government is you have employees that take on greater responsibilities, right? They'll take on a management role, taking on greater job duties, and they will go through their unions, or sometimes they go right to their management and say, hey, here's a situation, I feel like I'm doing a lot more. In this particular instance, the person was doing more and was acting in a management capacity, doing a lot more work than just being a clerk typist. And when we evaluated the situation, we saw that it was not a major increase into the budget. We actually eliminated, I believe, one of the part-time positions that we had there. So we took the funding from the part-time position and we helped to fund an increase in this long-time employee who's been working in the city for many, many years. And we thought that was the right move, and that's what we did. Can I also answer your question that you asked the director earlier, and I just wanted to expound on this. You asked, how do we fund some of these engineering services? Well, we've come to the council since we've been allocated ARPA funds. We've come to the council on numerous occasions with asks for authorization to appropriate ARPA funds to hire engineers because something came up we were not expecting. For instance, perfect example, the seawall. The seawall collapsed. We came to you. We said we need to hire engineers. You authorized us to use the ARPA funds to enter into an agreement with the engineer firm, and we started the work to get that done. And in record time, less than 2 years, we got that done, right? And then we used ARPA funds to pay for that. So situations arise. We've been blessed with having ARPA funds available for us to use to take care of problems that the city has had to deal with for decades. We're trying to take care of it, but we're doing it in a way that is, by what I'm told by the experts, but the engineers, we're doing it in a way that you look at experts and engineers to review, to assess, to put together plans, and then we come to you and say, hey, just like we did with the seawall, here's what they recommend, here's what they suggest, this is what we'd like to do, we'd like to use that money through that. So a lot of the stuff that we've been doing recently has been through utilizing ARPA funds, coming to you and asking if you would allocate that money for these type of engineering services.
And when that service is completed, I guess then we would move on. We don't have a person on staff and we now have to pay benefits for and may not be needed.
As you are aware, and as most of the council is aware, with the influx of ARPA funds nationwide, what's been happening is we can't compete. Municipalities are having a hard time competing with salaries in the private sector. We're going to have a hard time. We've got a person who's going to be leaving eventually engineering soon. I think he's close to retiring. We're going to have a difficult time finding someone to replace him at what we pay at a municipal level. I mean, we try to keep costs. We try to pay well. All these positions are union and negotiated, but we're not paying what these other private firms now are paying because there's so much money and they charge the customer, a lot of those customers are municipalities, state and federal governments, they charge them a higher premium and then they're able to pass that on to their employees. So we're having a hard time filling some of these positions. And when you can make a change in someone's pay by elevating them, we do.
Thank you. And I just wanted to make sure we were affording you the tools you need, and sounds like we're.
I mean, just to add to the mayor's point, I think it'd be irresponsible to take on a lot of these projects ourselves. I mean, it wouldn't make sense financially, never mind from a professional standpoint. It doesn't make sense.
All right, let's move on to highway parks. $83 in the paper budget book. Any noticeable increases or changes?
100,000. No, I mean, let's see. Let's go through here.
Assistant highway. Now two.
There have always been two.
So is it because last year we didn't budget for one?
No, it should have been budgeted. There were two superintendents for highway last year.
Last year it says that there were just one, and this year we have two because the FTEs. Last year 43, this year's a 44.
Was it the Assistant Public Works Superintendent?
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yep.
That's in the wrong budget line.
It should.
Well, no, it's 0 for 24, but they had one last year, so.
Right.
It's probably the same person.
Yeah, it should, as you can tell, the FTEs did increase. We did add a labor position in parks, but the assistant superintendents remain the same. They was just labeled differently last year versus this year. So we more housekeeping than anything.
Is laborers, here it has 8. Are we going up to 9?
So correction, I apologize. It was a general maintenance carpenter was the position that was created in this department.
Okay.
Not laborer.
And how many do we currently have employed?
Between highway and parks, we have 44. Yeah.
There's no pending positions for hire?
Oh, there were quite a
So
few.
how many? Yeah, so how many do we currently have?
I can tell you the vacancies. We currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 vacancies.
Are they mixed?
They're about evenly distributed between parks and highway. 4 and 3 highway parks.
One of them would be that carpenter, because that's a new position.
That carpenter has been hired.
Oh, okay.
That position has been hired. We're struggling to fill
Like lead worker?
laborers, driver. We have some driver openings and a equipment operator opening, which have all been posted. So hopefully we start getting some applicants.
So this landscaper construction specialist, is that, we have the tree trimmer, we have the landscape construction specialist, is that our flower planter throughout the city?
Nope, that's Ron Naraki. He's our tree warden and construction specialist. He does a lot of the, specialty projects throughout the city, some of the, fence installation, everything and anything, bench installations, concrete pads, small miscellaneous projects throughout public parks.
As a part-time tree warden? Is that what you're saying?
He is the tree warden, the city's tree warden.
To that, okay.
Correct.
I think he gets a little stipend for that.
He does. Yep. Luis?
Anything else on highway and parks? Moving on to streetlights, age 87.
Yeah, so streetlights, just to give the council a little explanation here. There was an increase as we did not account for since the conversion was still occurring last year. We were uncertain of the cost for we now have a maintenance agreement with Rise Engineering, who did the installation. So they maintain all of our lights. Every time we get a phone call from a resident, lights out, they typically diagnose, we'll go out, replace a light. Surprisingly, which I had no idea of, we have a lot more utility poles that are either hit in the city, replaced. So they're responsible every time a utility pole comes down. They are remounting that light, so that there's a small cost to the city for that. Excuse me. And this will also account for electricity for these lights, to power these lights.
Does this tie into the item later on our agenda about the streetlight agreement? We finally, I think that assistant solicitor has been working on, and it's pretty much finished now. And
Yep, so ideally, this proposed cost does currently include the state lights, because we weren't sure when those would be transferred. So ideally, we should see less expenditure in this line item at the end of the year, but we weren't certain as to when that would hit, but that will authorize us to give the lights to Rhode Island DOT. So they'll be responsible now for all the state roadways.
Is this, we have an increase in the signs line item. Can you speak?
In highway park. So we purchased a vinyl laser printer that prints large format signs. So now we fabricate all of our street signs internally. We don't outsource any of that work. So with that, I've actually implemented we're going to start converting all of our street signs to high visibility with the city logo. So this will allow us to have some flexibility in ordering additional vinyl and maintaining our street signs. As part of the LiDAR scan we did for the roadway condition assessment, we got an inventory of all of our street signs. So now I know how many stop signs we have, how many no parking signs. So we have the ability now to sort of, more granularly look at neighborhoods and start, replacing signage, and now have better tracking. The vinyl we purchase has a warranty associated with it. So the laminate we put over it is good for 10 years. So now we'll have the ability to track all that internally. With our staff, we can, create a database to better track it. So it's just, long story short, it's additional funding to, to support our,
So are the street signs, so traffic sign replacements for those that are either missing, damaged, can't read.
Yeah.
Worn out. And then you're saying streets signs for street.
A lot of our actual street signage, Taunton Avenue,
Right.
Faded, very old. So those we will be able to print internally. And rather than paying a company to do it at 2 times the cost, we can, fabricate ourselves internally. We still have to mount the sign. So to print one is, seconds. So there'll be added cost, but it's,
Initially, but they shouldn't be.
correct. It's just to maintain, we need additional costs to actually continue to maintain the infrastructure we have. So.
And then, and I'm all for this, but the nursery, it's almost doubled. Are we looking to plant in additional places that we weren't planning? Are these like trees?
No, this is just chemical costs. Chemical costs, fertilizers to maintain our ball fields, our soccer fields. You're talking about supplies to nurseries, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, there's been a significant increase in not only that, but even just cost of flowers. So beautification in our parks, planters we put outside of City Hall. It's all,
That's all encumbered into that.
it is. Yep.
And then the part-time temporary work, what are those being covered? 75,000.
So that covers part-time staff that, that we hire temporarily throughout the summer to assist with, park maintenance.
Seasonal helpers?
Seasonal, yep.
And how many did we get this summer?
Yeah.
I know.
I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. I can get you that number though. I'd say, with the mayor's youth workforce, we had a significant number, which was, really great to see. I want to say it was probably 10 to 15, if I had to guess. But staff that includes the mayor's workforce, I'd say that, on average, we budget for 75. We don't typically spend it because we can't find staff to actually fill them. So I'd say at most we'll get half a dozen if we're lucky, but usually it's, 3, 4. Right now I have 3 staff part-time that are, still assisting, but they'll be dropped off probably in about a month or so.
Now, I did see something that went out, an RFP for landscapers to help with stuff around the city. Is that something coming out of one of these budget lines?
Landscapers?
That's coming out of, so what happens is the building department, building officials, minimum housing, if they are dealing with a property that is in violation and they've been ordered to take care of it and they don't do it, we hire a landscaper to go and take care of it, especially if it's a problem area, and then we put a lien on their property to get reimbursed.
They're on-call contractors.
On-call contractors.
Like we don't do any of the, I apologize, I wasn't sure exactly what you were referring
Yeah, no,
to.
this seemed like it was a different art.
It's like a grass cutting.
Right.
Yeah,
like
so-
overgrowth throughout the city,
Yep.
like maybe assisting parks with,
No.
or state roads that don't get addressed by the state that frequently, like.
Yeah, no, these aren't, this is just strictly going through the procurement process, properly hire contractors to work for the city. So they assist the building inspection division, in mowing the lawn. And then we, as the mayor mentioned, we put a lien on the property.
How are we paying? Similar to like the detail for the police department where we budget upfront so that we pay those vendors?
That comes out of their purchase professional services line in the buildings department, yeah. We also have an on-call list for people that will board up homes. So if we get called out to a home that needs to be boarded up, it's the same concept.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We had pretty much gone through streetlights. Move on to refuge disposal.
No, it's okay. Refuge and disposal. There we go. Bear with me, I apologize. My computer logged out on me.
Page 89, budget book.
Might have to ask the council for a new computer. You jinxed me.
Or the tipping fees were up. That's
Yeah, so, yeah. Got the director here, so I'm in good hands.
Director's having dinner back there.
Yeah. She's not listening. Yeah. Is there anything bad we should say about her? Refuge and disposal, these are just contractual increases, nothing that we have any control over. Unfortunately, the tipping fees for resource recovery have significantly increased, which is, a significant increase on the budget. Again, something we can't, we have no choice. So it's,
Our only choice might be to get people to do a little better job recycling. That would help.
Yes.
bring down some of the costs, but
Yeah, and we're actually, our recycling numbers have been probably one of the better than they have
Yeah,
in a long
seems-
time. Donna does a fantastic job in managing our program. And as the council's aware, we're obviously just awarded a $33,000 grant from Resource Recovery to start implementing those trash compaction units throughout the city. So that'll help, incentivize recycling with having a dedicated barrel at, in city parks.
And I would just reiterate once again that the system, which is now a few years old, of the containers is so much better than seeing trash bags all over the streets. Really working, even people who in the beginning were a little unsure of it and were kind of complaining about, oh, I can't fit all my trash in there. You can get quite a lot in there. And so it's been a great program. Any other questions on trash and refuse?
Just on replacing the recyclable or the trash bin, are we charging the residents at cost for the replacements, or are we upcharging?
Yes, we charge cost for those, yep. And if,
Gotten some smaller too, the original ones.
yeah, and they've gotten a lot more expensive. Yeah, no, if they're damaged by, MEGA, those are replaced by MEGA. MEGA takes responsibility for those. Covers that are broken, wheels that fall off, that's all covered under warranty as part of the purchase of those carts. So we get, when we purchase an allotment of trash barrels, we request that the company also send us replacement wheels and replacement lids. So, as we receive phone calls, we have staff that go out and replace those on site for residents,
Right.
free of charge.
Is it better to send it through the portal or to do a phone call? Because I know a couple of people had asked.
Either or, they'll get answered the same way. Yep.
Thank you. Anything else? Can we move on to public buildings? Page 92.
So what is, if the superintendent of parks isn't here, do you have 9 FTEs or 10 in the public buildings department?
We have, it's a good question.
Because if I take out superintendent of parks, I see 9 positions.
Should be 10. Right?
Because
Dan.
it's up here.
Is the superintendent of parks just mislabeling the superintendent of buildings? Is that what it is?
Correct.
See, this one
Okay.
is 0, so that should be the assistant superintendent of public.
Correct.
Works.
Yeah.
It's mislabeled?
If you look at the, on the budget, where it has the FTE count, the assistant superintendent of public buildings went from 1 to 0. And we still have that position, so I believe it was just misnamed again. The superintendent of parks.
So that should be a 1.
Cor-
0.
Correct. Correct. They just need to be flip-flopped.
Any needs going unmet in your view?
No, I mean, we've increased repairs to buildings. We obviously have ongoing, repairs that we're making throughout the city. So this will help us, cover additional expenses. That line item's typically, fairly tight item, so having a little more flexibility, we're requesting an increase there. And then small tools, now with additional carpentry staff, we need more tools, more robust tools that will allow us to do more complex projects, which is one of the great things that, we've been able to do is hire these additional staff to help maintain our public buildings, so. and then just some additional cost for cleaning supplies for Pierce Field.
You just mentioned supplies for Pierce Field. We have a department and we have a whole section in Pierce Field. And it should be there and not under. I mean, why don't you have it there? That's my question.
Our custodians
Oh,
clean the building, so the
okay, so you're putting it there.
supplies are
Okay.
purchased through the public building.
Okay.
department.
Probably one purchase makes it easier, one
Yeah,
purchase.
no, I agree.
Just
Just
the staff that
gonna
typically
question.
clean travel from here. So supplies are, purchased, delivered to City Hall, put in a van and transported as needed.
Yep, got it. Anything else? Public buildings? Central garage. Pull that up one sec. 95.
Page 95, yep. 670.
Yeah, I mean, the only real increase here is part-time pay. We've allocated some additional funding, as vehicles get older, they require maintenance. Having additional staff is, beneficial to helping us, offset the cost of purchasing brand-new vehicles, especially with the fleet being in, decent shape. So having additional funding and part-time to supplement, in those busier times, as we approach the winter, get our plow trucks ready, sanders, so on and so forth. This will help us to accomplish that.
What is the 800 clothing allowance? And then there's 8,000 for uniforms.
So the 8,000, the uniforms is a contractual requirement through the steelworkers contract to provide uniforms to the mechanic staff.
Is that the number under supplies?
Your
The 8,000?
Uniform and apparel supply.
uniform and apparel, 56,112? Is that the one you're referring to?
I'm online. I don't have these line numbers. I'm under supplies, uniform apparel, 8,000.
Yeah, that's contractual requirement.
But then there's also a clothing allowance under benefits. Or
So the-
$800.
Right, so they're both contractual obligations of the steelworkers contract. The steelworkers receive a clothing allowance every year to cover, boots, steel toe boot expenses,
Gotcha.
work pants, all that stuff.
Okay.
We, do they order it through a vendor? Do you guys also through a vendor?
Yep, so same as, grass cutting contract, we'll put those out to contract, and yeah, Uni First is who we currently have.
That you create for it and then
Yep.
buy off of it?
Yep.
Anything else in the central garage? Move on to wastewater pollution control. Should have two more items here. Wastewater is 140 series, page 117.
Malcolm, when are bond payments usually made?
Most of the time, they're made about twice a year, September and March, are when most of them are due.
That's usually how bonds are,
Yes.
September and March, okay. So that's why it shows we only did 338,000 so far, but we're on the hook for 3.9. So we got another big payment coming? Okay. And how many bonds do we have on the plant? Do we have just the big one or
No, I think there's 5 on the plant.
there's 5 too? Okay.
Are we talking wastewater or water? I'm sorry.
In general, yeah.
In general, I got you.
I think they're about,
You sent me the thing today. I just haven't had a chance to pass it. So, okay. So there's like 5 different bonds.
And there's a few currently outstanding that the council's approved. We're still waiting for Department of Health approval for the cleaning and lining project
Gotcha.
and the meter replacement project. So those will, you know,
And are any of them close to being paid off?
those have not even.
Well, not the ones you're talking about in general.
I wouldn't know the schedules off the top of my
Okay.
head.
I don't think anything's dropping off. in the next
Anytime soon.
couple of
Okay.
years.
Yeah.
And are those bonds all from the enterprise fund? Are they all paid through the enterprise fund?
And again, the water and sewer enterprise funds, so they're standalone.
Yep.
They have to generate their own revenue. So any expenses you want to change on that wouldn't affect the tax rate at all for the taxpayers.
Gotcha.
And are you seeing, since we increased the sewer fee back in March, April, when we did that, are you seeing that working and covering the anticipated expenses?
We hope so. I think it's still a little too early to tell, but I think that, you know, we'll probably know better in the coming months. I mean, Malcolm, you might be able to speak to that. I think it's a little too early, but
I couldn't talk to that off the top of my head. Normally, the rates, we generate more in the summer. There's more water usage, so more going down the sewer.
So this summer's not good since it rained like every day.
What's penalty dash Harris? 75,000?
oh, that's a software subscription for our billing system.
Okay. And other dash sewer is like negative 5,000? What's that number?
hang on.
It's budgeted for 10,000, but
You're looking at the revenue piece?
I'm looking under revenues. It says other dash sewer,
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, that's
and then minus dash 5 is what we've got half year. And your budget went up from, well, no, it's still at 75,000. No, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Is this
Other sewer,
is this water?
10,000. It's budgeted for 10,000 in revenue. What's that?
And the penalty, Harris, is really the late fees that we charge. And Harris is the software system. So, again, it's just if you pay late, that's what we call it.
The other dash sewer, that's late payments?
No, the one you had said before, the penalty, Harris.
Right, that's the software. What's the other one? Other dash sewer.
There is.
It's under the interest line.
4290. I got it right here. No.
It's budgeted for 24 for 10 thou, and fiscal year halfway, it's minus 5,000.
I know that's generated right out of the Harris system, and it's just coded over. I'd have to see why it's a minus 5,000. I do believe there are miscellaneous sewer charges that are a few $100 each, and normally we get a handful a month, not a lot. Maybe there's an abatement in there or something for the minus.
My next question, where does it speak to for the abatements that get done for sewer and water? When we give abatements? There's no line?
There's no separate line.
I don't think there's a separate line for abatements. Because if you give an abatement, it would go against whether it's the sewer service or the consumption, or the facility, however it's broken out, it would go against whatever that revenue.
It would be a minus off the revenue.
It would just be like a minus revenue.
The abatement is typically applied to, yeah, exactly, to the particular resident's bill as well, the account.
Would that probably be with that sewer other, since it's in the neck? I mean, the abatements are probably a lot more than 5,000.
Yeah, I don't, without looking at what we've
they
had
are,
in abatements
but-
for the last year, I couldn't speak to that. No.
I'm just wondering where we would keep that on.
Quite honestly, I'm not sure where we would have to get back to you on that.
Professional services, is that Suez?
This is, hold on.
5 million, 5.2 million under
Yes.
expenses?
Yeah, that's their contract.
And we just renewed that contract, right?
Yeah.
A year or two ago.
Yes, yep.
Under wastewater, I know we've had supply chain delays, like everywhere. How about the caps on the tanks?
Unfortunately, the supply chain issues that we've been experiencing have forced us to sort of approach this design in a different way. Violi actually approached us about 3 months ago. They're working on a redesign at this point too. And I think it's actually a great approach. We're actually going to repurpose some old infrastructure at the plant that's since been abandoned. So we're going to repurpose these old trickling filters and create an odor control system within existing. So unfortunately, it's taking some time. All of the covers are in on site, but they have not been installed since we're waiting for the odor control system to be in place before we cover the tanks.
So the redesign will still utilize the covers?
Yes, the covers, it's just the odor control system, the portion that takes the, dirty air out and, filters it. The process by which we're doing that, we're changing because we can't get odor control
Can't
equipment.
get it.
We can't get carbon filter equipment for, year. It's just crazy.
Thank you. Anything else under wastewater, water utilities?
It's the last item.
Those are the last.
So I have a question for Malcolm. When do you need all our council changes, so that we're in compliance with advertising and everything? I'm getting emails that I just want to be on the same page as far as the timeline. Because we have the advertising and everything.
Right, we had discussed that actually earlier with the solicitor. We finally got the ad approved by the state. And per state law, we have to have this very specific budget ad in 10 days before the first public hearing. And you'll want at least 2 public hearings. The first public hearing is when you actually propose your changes. So at any of these meetings, you could say, this is what we want to propose. And then, okay, so we kind of know what it is. Then at the first public hearing, you say, okay, now officially, since it's a public hearing, we're going to recommend these changes. And per the charter, you have to have another one and come back and actually approve them. So you would need 2.
We were thinking today, some of the council have discussed setting before we leave tonight, the dates for those hearings. I know October 2nd, I think Madam Clerk was one of the days we were talking about, and then we'd have to have a second one. We need the time to advertise.
10 days?
The first ad has to be in 10 days before the first public
For
hearing.
the hearing.
And then the first hearing, after the first hearing, and we make changes,
Yeah, then,
potential changes, what's the advertising period? Is it another 10
no,
days?
it's not 10, I believe I
5?
think it's 6.
I'd just like to clarify everything now, because I just want to make sure. I want to back everything up to the end of the period.
At least if we get the
It's under the
second
budget.
squared away, then that's most of the battle, and then we can pick if it's 16 or whatever for the
But
next.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
I
I
think Mike's checking.
And why does the water department pay insurance? $227,000.
Why do they pay insurance?
What's the insurance for?
Oh, for the,
Assets, buildings, probably.
yes, we did
infrastructure.
general
For the water department?
Oh,
They're-
yeah.
Yeah, because they're an enterprise fund. They're not funded through the city's general fund. They're funded as a, a separate entity. They're essentially their own business per se.
We're insuring the pipes because that's the water department, right?
We insure the water tower, the pump stations,
Okay.
infrastructure. Yeah.
Okay.
Not less than 5 days. Yeah, so 5. So if we do that, so we meet on the 2nd, we're going to meet on Monday the 2nd. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the earliest we could meet would be Wednesday, October 11th, taking into consideration that the 9th of October, Monday, is a state and national holiday, so it doesn't count. 5 days. We need 5 days.
I don't think it's business day. It says 5 days.
Yeah, 5 days, so it'd be
I think
business.
you can count holidays. I think you can count holidays.
Well, technically, the state doesn't recognize it when when you have to post a meeting like we did like we just came off of, when we just came off of Labor Day, the late Monday doesn't count.
That's because the open meetings law specifically excludes
Okay,
holidays.
I just wanted to be on the same page so that we do everything right. I don't want this council to be accused of making a boo-boo. That's why we're here asking these questions right now. So I just want I just want you to advise us properly.
Yeah.
And so you're saying that Columbus Day counts as a day.
5 days. My concern is that you have to take into account the time for the advertising. So I don't know, the clerk would have for the second meeting, we have to have enough time to get the advertising in because we have to get your changes in and advertise prior to that 5 days. We have to take account of advertising.
That's what I mean. So we got to do that. So
And the clerk handles that. I don't know exactly what the time frame is. So you have to get the ad into the post by the Monday, right? Whatever date it is. So that's usually the way the glitch happens. It's not the 5 days. It's the advertising that's the issue.
So
by the 2nd, we'll have our changes, if any, or additions, deletions, whatever, and then we can have it advertised.
If they go in, so if they go in, now you mentioned about the newspaper. So if the newspaper comes out on the Thursday, the newspaper you mentioned comes out on the Thursday.
Yeah, I'm assuming that, yes.
Oh, all right. So the first day that it comes out is the first day that it counts.
Right. So
Right.
Thursday, Friday.
And you're saying Saturday and Sunday would count in this scenario too?
This charter says 5 days.
Okay, so if it comes 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, so we're at the 9th, so we could have a meeting on the 10th in theory. So we meet on the Monday, and would this give you suffice time? Again, this is all new to us and it's all new to a new clerk. Could the changes be ready to hit it so on that Wednesday, so when the paper comes out on the Thursday?
Yeah, we would hold the spot on the Tuesday and then send them to the paper officially on the Wednesday. They'd be published on Thursday. And then you have the 5 days.
So you're comfortable with what was just reviewed?
Yes, except that I thought that Malcolm created the ads for the 2 hearings. So I misunderstood that.
No. And so what'll happen is after the Tuesday meeting, I will go back and change the numbers and then send the ad to the clerk, and she will forward it on to the paper Tuesday night.
So, all right,
it'll
so
go
you're
in
just
Thursday.
clarifying what the solicitor said, because I just want all clarification, because it sounded like you said the clerk was responsible, but Malcolm, you are ultimately responsible. Say we took a line and switched the line and everything like that. You're the gentleman, you're the person who's making the changes
He
for the
does the
ad.
budget, right?
Well, yeah,
Then he sends it to.
Well, I'm just correcting it. I'm just trying to get on the same page, because the solicitor gave us a different perspective of who's responsible for that.
So I don't think.
The clerk, I'm sorry if you misunderstood me. The clerk places the advertisement.
says
She's
put-
responsible
yeah,
for placing the ad.
Okay, yeah.
She doesn't create the ad. Malcolm creates the ad.
Right.
After you make the
Now
changes
you
on
said
the
the word, placing it is different. All right.
Do we need to vote to set up October 2nd?
No, if that
We
date works
just-
for everyone, I think is.
Just
we'll-
works for
we'll
all
just
of
set
us,
it,
I
yeah.
guess.
October 2nd's already on the calendar. It would be the second hearing that you want to establish, whether you want to have that on the 10th or 11th,
No,
Tuesday or the Wednesday.
to the chair, I think you may, because,
Could use the mic now.
well, okay. I think you still want to set it up because you, on here, it's just saying it's set up as a workshop on the 2nd. Do we have to?
It's a public hearing, so it has to be advertised as a public hearing. So the first advertisement is the mayor's proposed budget, and those numbers are what Malcolm is going to be placing, and that has been confirmed with the state, sets the rate, so the tax rate. After that hearing, the charter then allows you, as a council, to add or subtract to that budget. That is the second advertisement that Malcolm prepares, and that the clerk then will post. And then once that's done, then that's pretty much done. You can only increase, you can't change anything once you've decided that that's what you're doing. So it's two different dates, but I think we should have enough time if
Yes.
between.
We already have a meeting scheduled for the 2nd. So we currently have 2 meetings scheduled. We have Monday, the 2nd, and Tuesday, the 3rd, as a regular council meeting. So those are already scheduled. So you don't need to take any action.
The only action we got to take now is October 10th,
Yes.
the second meeting. So
Right.
we got to go on record for the 10th.
Right, we can just do that if that's where that's the direction
Is
we're
that
going.
Fine with everybody, the 10th? So we'll schedule that. Everyone agrees?
The meetings, Madam, excuse me, the meeting for the second meeting, though, even though it's already set, it needs to be labeled as a public hearing.
Okay. Thank you.
Second and the 10th are public hearings.
On the next meeting next week, the 19th, I believe we have 2 areas left to review in the budget. One is canvassing, which we put off until another date, and the school department will be coming in with their proposal. I have contacted them and let them know that they will come in on the 19th. So those are left. And then the capital items can be done at any time later because it has no effect on the general budget. Is that correct? The capital.
That's correct.
So that's not a rush to do that for the 2nd, the 10th, the 11th. We'll do it as soon as we can, but that's a separate process.
That's what I mean. So we have to have,
If you're adding a great number, if you're adding to that number.
that would
Okay.
have to be on the 2nd.
Correct.
So we can bring that up at that time.
And that's the last time.
That's the last.
That's the last one because, well,
Okay. If there aren't any other procedural questions on the workshop, without council objection, I'd like to go to the last page of the agenda. Our police chief has been sitting here patiently all night, and I'd like to let him move on and get home, or wherever he wants to go after here. Hope. And that is in the item on the towing ordinance, which is something that I don't know, this goes back quite a ways that we have discussed, and that the assistant solicitor has worked on updating the ordinance, and I'll let the chief go through it more, but in addition to exchanging the word city manager for mayor and putting city council where it's appropriate, that was part of it. The other part of it was to address questions with the whole policy. And for instance, there's a city towing list, and that needs to be maintained specifically. And so a lot of that language was cleaned up. You know, I'm not going to read through this whole document, but I'll ask the chief if you wanted to make any introductory comments or a little bit of the history of this.
So the city's rules and regulations, when it came to the tow list, was antiquated, to say the least. We were working off of a very, very old document that made reference to technology that doesn't even exist anymore. So what we did was Major Raymer, my deputy chief, he had reached out to some communities, took a look at their rules and regulations, and he pretty much what you see here, he updated quite a bit, worked with the solicitor's office, and made it very clear. There's a lot of kind of gray area in the old rules and regulations, and, you know, really spelled it out. So the impetus was, you know, updating the rules and regulations.
Correct, as I recall. I don't know if any of you had a chance to look at this. No, as I said, we've discussed it before. One highlight in order to keep things consistent and is that the police department has to be involved in this, right? When you report to an accident or whatever, we've got to deal with the list we have.
Correct. And we, you know, we vet these folks as they, you know, make application to the city to be on the tow list. You know, we do, we check each of the operators. We check the lot to make sure they have the storage area, you know, all the equipment, understand the rules. Much of this is modeled, certain sections are modeled after state law, what is required of tow operators. And, you know, the reason for that is we put a lot of faith in our tow operators. They're, you know, see things that the average citizen doesn't see. They handle evidence, you know, as we monitor them. And again, it's important that they're timely. You know, our officers are out there and they're waiting for a tow. They may be in an unsafe situation. You know, we need to get off the road. So there's a lot of things that are intertwined with our operations in these tow companies.
Thank you, Chief. Specific questions, comments? The ordinance says in amendment of Chapter 8 of the revised ordinances of the City of East Providence, Rhode Island, 1998, as amended, entitled License and Business Regulations. It's been pretty much described. Is there a motion either way? Is there a motion to approve the ordinance? Going to ask one more time, and then it will fail. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance as worked on by the police department and the solicitor? Hearing none, the ordinance fails. Thank you. Next item, please.
Mayor Communications Alzheimer Awareness Proclamation.
We accepting them as read? The proclamations?
Second?
President. Yes, so do we have the presentation for the Alzheimer's?
I have the proclamation. I mean, as a personal favor to me, it's something that's near and dear to me. If you guys wouldn't mind.
Oh, absolutely then.
Some of it, not all of it, okay?
No, absolutely, absolutely.
This is the proclamation of the Mayor Roberto L. De Silva, Alzheimer's Awareness Month. Alzheimer's disease is an irreversible and progressive brain disease that slowly erodes precious memories, thinking skills, and the ability to perform simple tasks. Alzheimer's is the 7th leading cause of death in the United States, with nearly 2/3 of those being women. Worldwide, nearly 44 million people have Alzheimer's or related dementia. In the United States, there are 5.3 million people living with the disease. Every 66 seconds, someone develops disease, and unless a cure is found by 2050, someone will develop the disease every 33 seconds, leading to as many as 16 million people with the disease. City of East Providence publicly expresses full support for all those living with disease and their caregivers and encourages everyone to get involved and fight against it.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Motion I heard was on the table to
Accept as read.
accept as read. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next item.
Reports of other city officials, city solicitor.
Council President, members of council, as you know, the council met as a claims committee executive session. There was only one claim, the claim of Antonio Barboza at the recommendation of the fire chief. The claim of $476 was denied. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next item.
Report of school committee liaison.
They're going to be coming in with their budget proposal, and school year started off, and look forward to hearing their budget.
Next item.
Council items, council consideration of mayor's message of disapproval and veto of appropriation of ARPA funds for a citywide utility box art project as passed by the city council on August 15, 2023, entitled An Ordinance of the Council of the City of East Providence appropriating up to $50,000 for a citywide utility box art project. Possible vote to override, sponsored by the city council.
Through the chair.
Councilwoman Souza.
Mike, are we able to bundle these since they've gone through the first passage, second passage? Move an override? Okay. Motion to approve council item number 1.
Second.
There. Sure, I do have some legal, let me. There is a legal.
Yeah. Yeah, my motion still carries. Oh, this? Oh, okay. Hold on, then let me look. No, I know, I'm reading to make sure it's the correct one. Okay, so I move that the ordinance appropriating up to $50,000 for the citywide utility box project shall be approved without standing the disapproval and veto of the mayor.
So I got a question. Yeah. What are you two looking at that the three of us can't look at?
I know, I didn't, was this
What's
sent to
that?
all the council members?
It was sent to the council president. It was a memo from
This is the rules on how to
solicitor.
Override.
how to override. How to vote. Just
I
that you
just
need.
want to make, yeah, I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that,
Because this is the first time the council had asked to override, I prepared a memo for the council president, so we use the proper language and consistent with the charter.
all right.
For instance, and it says I move that, and you state the name, the title. Second is needed like any other motion. So the next thing it says a veto override motion requires a second. If there's no second, then the motion fails. Standard stuff. Assuming there is a second, and to be clear, it can be confusing so that if you wish to override the veto of an ordinance, you vote aye. Those who wish to sustain the veto vote no. Sometimes people get that mixed up.
Well, that's good that it's going over right now. That's, you had that piece of paper. in
Yeah,
front of you.
yeah, so this is the duty of a city solicitor is to help a council
Oh, yeah,
president
no, and
with
I'm,
parliamentary procedure,
oh,
so
yeah, no, that's good.
nothing that two people were looking at and three
No.
weren't, you
Oh,
know.
just want to make sure you vote
Right.
right or wrong. That's, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So, you want to repeat that motion, Councilwoman?
Sure, it'd be my pleasure. I move that ordinance of the City Council of East Providence appropriating up to $50,000 for a citywide utility box art project shall be approved, notwithstanding the disapproval and veto of the mayor. That is the motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Souza. There a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Fogarty. So if you wish to override the veto of this ordinance, you would vote aye. You wish to sustain the veto, you would vote no. Madam?
And the charter requires a roll call.
Yes, I'm just going to say, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll? First of all, is there any discussion on the motion or a second? My only discussion, then we'll have the roll, is I'm not going to say it after each item because, I'm not going to be repetitive. The hour's getting late. Most of these, if not all, I'm going to vote to sustain the veto. I think that my position is to listen to our professional engineers, our professional staff, people that we have all said we trust and listen to. Every one of these items is something that we all want to do, but how do we expend millions of dollars without specific plans? And in a couple of cases, DPW and others have said we already started that. So is there duplication? I don't know. Time will tell in the long run which was the better path to take. With that, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Fogarty.
Aye.
Councilman Lawson.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rego.
Aye.
Councilwoman Souza.
Aye.
Council President Rodrick.
Nay. Thank you. It's 4-1 passes. And next, please.
Council consideration of mayor's message of disapproval and veto of appropriation of ARPA funds for the former Oldham School
You got the script.
as passed by the City Council on August 15, 2023, entitled An Ordinance of the Council of the City of East Providence appropriating up to $1 million for the former Oldham School building on Bullocks Point Avenue. Possible vote to override, sponsored by the City Council.
I move that an ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Providence appropriating up to $1 million for the former Odom School building on Bullocks Point Ave shall be approved, notwithstanding the disapproval and veto of the mayor.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Souza, seconded by Councilman Lawson.
Councilman Fogarty.
Call the
Oh,
roll.
Aye.
Councilman Lawson.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rego.
Aye.
Councilwoman Souza.
Aye.
Council President Rodrick.
Nay.
Council consideration
Passes
of
4-1. Go ahead.
Council consideration of mayor's message of disapproval and veto of appropriation of ARPA funds for the Piercefield Football Stadium as passed by the City Council on August 15, 2023, entitled An Ordinance of the Council of the City of East Providence appropriating up to $550,000 to replace the walking track at Piercefield Football Stadium. Possible vote to override, sponsored by the City Council.
I move that the ordinance of the Council of the City of East Providence appropriating up to $550,000 to replace the walking track at Piercefield Football Stadium shall be approved, notwithstanding the disapproval and veto.
Motion by Councilwoman
Second.
Souza, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. Please call the roll.
Councilman Fogarty.
Aye.
Councilman Lawson.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rego.
Aye.
Councilwoman Souza.
Aye.
Council President Rodrick.
Nay. Next item.
Council consideration of mayor's message of disapproval and veto of appropriation of ARPA funds for a splash pad in Riverside as passed by the City Council on August 15th, 2023, entitled an ordinance of the Council of the City of East Providence appropriating up to $200,000 for a splash pad in Riverside, possible vote to override, sponsored by the City Council.
I move that the ordinance of the Council of the City of East Providence appropriate $200,000 for a splash pad in Riverside shall be approved, notwithstanding the disapproval and veto of the mayor.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Souza, seconded by Councilman Lawson. Please call the roll.
Councilman Fogarty.
Aye.
Councilman Lawson.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rigo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Souza.
Aye.
Council President Rodrick.
I vote aye. We do have a plan for this. Passes 5-0. Thank you.
Council consideration of mayor's message of disapproval and veto of appropriation of ARPA funds for Townie Pride Park as passed by the City Council on August 15th, 2023, entitled an ordinance of the Council of the City of East Providence appropriating up to $450,000 for improvements to Townie Pride Park, possible vote to override, sponsored by the City Council.
I move that the ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Providence appropriating up to $400,000 for improvement to Townie Pride Park shall be approved, notwithstanding the disapproval and veto of the mayor.
Mr. President,
Councilman, yes.
sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
We need a second. before-
Yeah, we need well, we can have discussion either way.
I'll
but-
second it.
Motion seconded by Councilman Fogarty. Under discussion.
Yes, under discussion on this one, I look at the capital budget that we have right now, and I've done some research on some particular grants from DEM that can help improve this park. So I think we need to shift some capital money out of this one and apply for DEM and state grants to cover this one. So on this one, I'll be voting nay.
You please call the roll if there's no other discussion.
Councilman Fogarty.
Aye.
Councilman Lawson.
Aye.
No.
Nay.
Councilwoman Souza.
Aye.
Council President Rodrick.
Nay. Passes 3-2. So it does not pass because you need 4 votes. That's right.
And at our capital meeting again, we need to reappropriate money to get into this thing. We got money sitting around.
Next item.
Council consideration of the mayor's message of disapproval and veto of appropriation of ARPA funds for sewer and drain improvements citywide as passed by the City Council on August 15th, 2023, entitled an ordinance of the Council of the City of East Providence appropriating up to $5 million for improvements to the infrastructure of sewers and drains citywide. Possible vote to override, sponsored by the City Council.
I move an ordinance of the Council of the City of East Providence appropriating up to $5 million for improvement to the infrastructure of sewer and drainage citywide shall be approved without standing the disapproval and veto of the mayor.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Souza, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. Please call the roll.
Councilman Fogarty.
Aye.
Councilman Lawson.
Aye.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rigo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Souza.
Aye.
Council President Rodrick.
Nay. Passes 4-1. Next item.
Council consideration of mayor's message of disapproval and veto of appropriation of ARPA funds for placemaking citywide as passed by the City Council on August 15, 2023, entitled an ordinance of the Council of the City of East Providence appropriating up to $550,000 for placemaking throughout the city. Possible vote to override, sponsored by the City Council.
I move that the ordinance of the Council of the City of East Providence appropriating $550,000 for placemakers throughout the city shall be approved without standing the disapproval and veto of the mayor.
Motion by Councilwoman
Second.
Souza, seconded by Councilman Lawson.
I have a discussion on this one.
Discussion.
I think it's very important on everything that we're doing that we have a plan. And what I suggest to my fellow council people on this one is that in the next 90 days, we come back with some solid program here. I don't know, 15 or 20. First I started off that there's 5 of us here. 2 locations would put 10, and I know there's other signage that we need. I think it's important that we put together a program, get this thing up and running. I know Melissa is working. She had a meeting today with the Keep Metacomet Green people, so she's working on a program with them. For sign making along Veterans Memorial Parkway. So, with that said, I think we put together a game plan to get it going and to get this done and see where we come up with the money.
I've already emailed the administration requesting some things.
Because we have a footprint from ones that are already done. So if we put together a plan, that's just my suggestion on this one.
Any other discussion? Please call a roll.
Councilman Fogarty?
Aye.
Councilman Lawson?
Aye.
Council Vice President Rigo?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sousa?
Aye.
Council President Rodrick?
Nay. 4-1. Next item.
Resolution authorizing city council expenditure of funds for community Fall Fest and Winter Fest celebrations. Sponsor, Councilwoman Sousa.
How come we don't have a Spring Fest?
Yeah, right.
We had Summer Fest, Fall Fest, Winter Fest.
Councilwoman, proceed.
Thank you. So as many of you know, we have a concert that's coming up that's been publicized that we've been working with to have at Crescent Park with band and food vendors that have been acquired. So keeping with that theme, doing a Fall Fest and Winter Fest, and we know we have a Winter Fest that's done through the rec department. But there's always opportunity to do smaller little events throughout the city for residents who maybe can't attend those that are the grandioser ones. I know I have done multiple pumpkin and art fests in the fall with residents, and it is always a big success in spite of having multiple ones that the city and other organizations in our city sponsor. So this is just, again, the council being more proactive and getting more engaged, not just in what we do up here, but also fun things in the community, not just dealing with the issues that people call us on a day-to-day basis. And we have the funds in our budget. That's what we've allocated them for. So I think it's a great opportunity to collaborate as a team, as a group, as a body to provide this to our community, in addition to the wonderful stuff that our administration.
So question, Councilwoman, Winter Fest. Now, we have the Winter Fest that's at the Senior Center that's separate from this, is that right? Okay. There's money in the budget that I saw tonight for Winter Fest. So is this additional?
This is coming out of the city council's budget. These are funds out of the city council.
But it's a different Winter Fest from.
So Winter Fest for the city, that term, I say Winter Fest because it's in the winter and it'll be a festive event. Winter Fest for the city is the tree lighting festival that's done at the Senior Center that's been happening for over 10 years. That is completely different. That is also funded in the budget through the rec department. That is completely different than what this is. Similar to the Festival of the Lighting of the Tree that we've done here at City Hall, we do in Riverside, we do in Rumford, a similar type of winter festival.
So this is an additional thing, not supplanting anything that
Of course not, no.
we have.
Not to overdo anybody else. These are additional celebrations throughout the season to engage in our residents.
Council President, may I ask a question?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Because I just heard the council nickel and diming or being very, very cautious with the spending in our budgets. $1,000 for printing, how much money is for this? You're looking at very small amounts. Are you asking for $15,000 so the council now is going to be having their own events? You're not part of the city anymore? Is this what we're talking about? Because I'm not following what's going on.
It's $1,500.
$1,500 to do council events
do a community event that the council is organizing.
Because you're all part of the same city, we're all part of the same team. And whenever we have an event, you're always welcome to be there. And our staff works very hard. When I talk about our staff, I'm talking about across all departments. With the Winterfest Festival that we put together at the senior center, everyone's involved in that. DPW, parks, our senior center staff, our recreational staff, our mayor staff, everyone's involved in bringing that together. That's an event for everybody. The lighting of the Christmas tree here at City Hall, same thing. Are you trying to tell me that the council now is going to be running their own events? I'm just curious. I find this very bizarre. But I just would like to know, because, listen, by the way, I just know you're very cautious with every penny we're spending. I'm curious to know, is this going to be like the Councilwoman Souza event here? Or ordinarily in the past, the council people would pay for their own events, either through their campaign funds or through
Right,
donations.
I always did.
So is this for, this $1,500, is this for the council people to be doing their own events?
We got a budget to do events in our wards. Isn't that what the city council budget's for?
We do have.
There's nothing in the budget for that, is there?
We have a public celebration, because you guys, I believe the inauguration for all elected officials came out of that budget from the city council line item. So,
I just didn't know where you, because I know that this, recently, there was a couple of different allocations. One of them for the concert venue at Crescent Park, which we think is a beautiful thing, and we support that.
Sponsored by that was the president's great idea.
And that was a great idea. And the president actually called me and he said, hey, look, we're looking to do this. Where do you think there's some funds? And I said, we have some funds in the recreation. And that's what the president did. And we communicated as two elected leaders. And then the president did his resolution. And then I started seeing people say that it was council sponsored. I'm like, that's a city sponsored event. That's tax dollars getting used for this. But I just wanted, I don't understand where this disconnect is happening. I just wanted to get some clarification. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
so just to be clear, we're not looking to utilize any city staff to do anything. Similar to when I've done my own private or the community funded or sponsored events. Same idea, but this is just inviting everybody, making it as a group to do it if they so choose, within the budget that we have in our budget.
Do you know the budget line item for this?
Where's Malcolm? That would be.
Can you pull that up, Trish? While she's pulling that up, I know Councilman Lawson, your interpretation that this would be for each ward to do something?
We have this money. Let's utilize it for public celebrations.
It's 32.
We're not trying to one up anybody. It's just, we want to utilize.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see what's the line item.
It's $3,200 in public celebration. So that's where the money would come from, would be the $3,200 that's allocated.
So is
yeah,
this
again, I'm not
additional to
trying to
that
one up
3,200 or? Because you're saying you would $1,500.
So this is the monies that would be used for these two different celebrations that we have historically budgeted in the council's budget under celebration line item.
So now there's currently $3,200, the council's line item for public celebrations. Are we adding this to that?
No.
It would be withdrawn.
All right, so you're taking from the existing.
So
Okay.
it would leave us with $1,700 moving forward.
So if it was our line item anyway,
Yeah.
we need
that a
to do
motion?
this?
Yeah,
Bring me
because
back a bit.
$200 has to.
Right, but I thought we would do it event by event. So,
Well, this is, and so.
so these are these two.
Fiscal year's ending, so this doesn't affect the new budget. This is appropriating money before our fiscal year ends at the end of the month in October.
Okay. So any other discussion?
Was that a motion?
I did.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Souza, seconded by Councilman
And just to be
Fogarty.
clear, this isn't to exclude anybody in the city that wants to participate and be involved in this. It's just.
Absolutely not.
Right, and
It's
to be,
okay for the council to do activities with the community because we are also elected officials in a body who may not have the time scheduled that other events happen throughout the city because we live different professional lives outside of this professional life.
And just further to be clear, it's 1,500 from the existing 3,200. It's not additional. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
I think we have to do a roll
Do
call.
we need a roll call vote since
Yes,
we're
it's
taking
funds.
money out of the budget?
It's a resolution.
It's a resolution.
Let's just make it, let's do a roll.
Let's do it proper.
Councilman Fogarty,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rego.
Aye.
Councilwoman Souza.
Aye.
Council President Rodrick.
Aye. It's 5-0. Next
That one too.
item.
Resolution declaring its intent for the city of East Providence to transfer ownership of certain streetlights to the State of Rhode Island Department of Transportation. Sponsor Council President Rodrick.
I don't think it needs much further discussion. This is going back several years. It's kind of a final step here. Been worked on by Assistant Solicitor Conley. We heard tonight from DPW about the savings to the city down the line. Are there any comments?
I move to approve.
Motion by Councilwoman Souza to approve.
Second.
Councilman Rego, Councilman Lawson, second. Please call a roll.
Councilman Fogarty.
Aye.
Councilman Lawson.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rego.
Aye.
Councilwoman Souza.
Aye.
Council President Rodrick.
Aye. It's 5-0. Next item, please.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a change order with MAS Building and Bridge, Inc. for additional work related to the repair of the seawall located at Crescent Park, formerly Rose Larissa Park. Sponsor Council President Rodrick.
So in the continuing effort to repair the seawall at Crescent Park and to do all of the improvements at Crescent Park, there has been additional work required. I know some of us have walked the area and saw the work that is needed. So this is a resolution that will help to, we can't do any more work until we do some of these improvements, which includes, I'll read this, change to the block wall and railings at the wheelchair ramp, installation of higher safety railings and drainage work along the property. The other day at a concert there, people were asking why they couldn't use the brand-new stairwell down to the beach. And it's because required work from Coastal Resources, DEM, as in a lot of these projects, we just don't go in there with a hammer and nails. We have to get approvals. So this is asking for a change order, which is in the amount of $47,383.82 to use ARPA or other available funding to complete this work and enter into this change order with MAS Building and Bridge, Inc. for the additional work. Any questions about this? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Fogarty, Councilman Rego. Please call the roll.
Councilman Fogarty.
Aye.
Councilman Lawson.
Aye.
Council Vice President Rego. Councilwoman Souza.
Aye.
Council President Rodrick.
Aye. Passes unanimous. Oh, let's see. Next, did we do that one?
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. We are-
Second, third, fourth.
Motion to adjourn. We're all set with the October 2nd date, everybody? Okay, and we know we're back here the 19th.
Yeah,
All in,
but we added the
the 10th, right?
yeah, the 10th.
And we'll work on the advertising with Malcolm, the solicitor, and the clerk's office working together.
So clear, the first one is on the mayor's proposed budget. After that budget is done, that public hearing is over, you have a right to add or subtract, whatever you want to do. And then, once that's done, then we'll do the advertisement for the 10th, and then that'll be the final message. final hearing.
Final hearing, yeah.
If you're watching this broadcast, don't forget Sunday, September 17th, the end of summer concert at Crescent Park. Yeah, bash, and it will have the classic cars there early in the afternoon for about 3 o'clock, and at 4:30 comes Brass Attack. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The